Oh, there we go. Partner. Anybody see partner? Anybody see partner? Is partner there?
Can you hear us online?
Yeah, I can hear you. Is partner there? Is partner there?
Ian is on virtual. Is he? Ian Mathis.
Can we get a check online, please? Can somebody speak for us?
Okay, how about me? Are you hearing me? I don't think I'm coming through. I'm not seeing an indication I'm trying to speak.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, well, I can't things unless you're talking into the mic. I can't hear a thing going on. So if somebody's speaking without a mic, where the volume is lost, I mean, you can't hear a thing.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Oh, can somebody speak from the table without a mic?
So I just added this today, but that might not be. Still could. So, yeah.
Okay.
Mic check. Can you guys hear us online?
And now I can hear you, yes, but that's a
Okay,
mic.
great. Thank you.
We have Ian is virtual.
Got it. Thank you.
Will everybody have a mic to speak?
5, 6 here. Oh, Ian is only 7.
I see there are mics. Okay.
Ken is also virtual.
I got him. That's 8.
Yeah, so we're good. All right, everybody, we're going to call this meeting to order. Oh. Sorry, bear with us. Thank you. Oh, you're good? Rocky. Okay, everybody, we're going to call this meeting to order. My name is Jarrett Machado. I'm filling in for the chair seat this evening. First order of business we're going to go over is the emergency responder monthly reports. The HFD representative is not going to be present this evening, so I will be reading off sent us. Okay, can you guys hear me online? Everybody good?
Now can.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we'll start with the incident statistics for July 2023. Fires, 1 structure fire, 1 wildland brush fire, 0 nuisance fires, 0 cooking fires, 0 activated alarms. Next, we'll go over emergencies. Medical emergencies, there were 36. Motor vehicle collision with pedestrians, there was 1. Motor vehicle crash / collisions, there were 5. Mountain rescues, 0. Ocean rescues, 0. Hazardous material incident, 0. It says here in an asterisk, nuisance fires include rubbish fires outside a structure or vehicle, in case anybody didn't know or understand that. 3, fire safety tips and announcements. So we have fire safety tip, fire and fall prevention. Help ensure the safety of our esteemed elders. Implementing a prevention and preparedness practices will promote independence and reduce frequency of injury or death from home, fire, and falls. Learn more at fire.honolulu.gov/fire and life safe /Kupuna /. Stay in the kitchen when frying food and cooking on the stovetop. Keep a lid nearby. If a pan of food catches fire, slide a lid over it and turn it off or turn off the burner. Remember, the stovetop and the oven are not to be used for storage. Ensure working smoke alarms are installed properly. Bed shaker and strobe alarms are available for hearing or visually impaired occupants. Plan your escape from fire based on your abilities. Keep your exit routes clear. Ensure windows and doors open easily and practice your escape plan. When the alarm sounds, get outside and stay outside. Call 911 from your safe meeting place using a mobile phone. If you are unable to evacuate, shelter in place, stay near a window and call 911. Exercise regularly to build strength and improve coordination and balance. Ask a doctor about appropriate physical exercise. Be aware of your surroundings, including uneven surfaces. Take your time when getting out of a chair or bed. Stand and get your balance before you begin to walk. Keep walking areas, pathways, and stairs well lit and clear of tripping hazards. Wear sturdy, well-fitting footwear and utilize handrails. Review your medications with your doctor. Keep an updated list of medications, medical derivatives, and emergency contacts posted on your refrigerator. So that is what the fire department representative sent in for us for their report for July. Now we will be going to the Honolulu Police. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. My question is, could we please get a report from the incident that happened next to Key's driveway? And specifically, my understanding when I talked to Kalai Kukahiko, who manages the Key facility here, it was that it was a cooking fire. So I'd like to know what kind of cooking fire it was, because there were apparently 4 engines that came here to do that. And had that particular type of cooking fire happened last night, I don't think we'd be sitting here. So it's a pretty important thing, and I think we need to pay attention to it. So I'd specifically like to know if there are chemicals or flammable materials that, so if they could address that, that'd be good. Mahalo.
And now we will turn it over to the Honolulu Police Department representative.
Good evening. I'm Officer Jared
Honolulu
Atkins.
Police Department, you're up.
Good evening. I'm Officer Jared Atkins with District 4 Community Policing Team. The stats for last week, I mean not last week, but last month are as follows. In July, there was 2 motor vehicle thefts versus 2 the previous month. There were 2 burglaries in July versus 2 the previous month. There were 7 thefts in July versus 2 the previous month. There was 1 car break-in in July versus 1 the previous month. There were 0 robberies in July versus 1 the previous month. And then as for comparing last year's stats to this year's, they're almost exactly the same, except there were 2 more thefts last year and 3 more car break-ins last year. That's all I have for the stats. I can take any questions or concerns.
Please give him the microphone. I can talk. Oh, just so that everyone else can hear you. Yeah.
So my name's John Hunter. I live across the street from Key. We had a fire down here. It was just talked about in the fire report, reported as a kitchen fire. I don't think they were cooking food there. I'm interested to know what your investigation has borne out of that, if anything. Did you guys investigate it?
So we don't investigate fires. Yeah, that's Honolulu Fire Department investigates it.
So if it was a meth lab, you guys wouldn't be called in to do any work there?
Yes, we absolutely would be.
Were you called in?
Not to my knowledge, I'd have to look, but I would be made aware if it was something of that nature. I would definitely.
Okay, there were a lot of fire
Okay.
trucks down here.
Okay.
A lot. Okay. A little surprised you guys weren't in on that.
We were probably there for traffic control, but like I said, the fire department handles investigations. If it turns into a criminal, if they find something criminal, then absolutely we will get involved with that investigation. However, fire department takes the lead in all fires.
We're just going to take a quick minute. Rocky.
Mahalo. Okay, let's bow our heads in prayer, please. E koma koma kue loko kalani. Mahalo ke akua for bringing us all here together tonight. We humbly come before you and ask that you bless our people of Maui. Bless those, especially my family who I have there right now too. Let's hope that they're all safe. Although their homes are burned, we ask your Lord to help them in their survival in building new homes and let there be no more tragedy with our people. We ask this in your name, Jesus Christo. Amen, amen, amen. Hallelujah.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is filling of vacancies on the board. We have one vacancy in Sub-District 5 and one vacancy in Sub-District 6. Is there anyone here or online that would like to fill either of those vacancies?
What areas are 5 and 6? Sorry.
No? No one? Okay, we're moving on. City, state, federal reports. First up, we have the representative of the mayor's office here who will be giving his report.
Aloha, everyone. My name is Jiro Sumada. I'm the Deputy Director at the Department of Planning and Permitting. Nice to see you folks in person. So I'm sorry last month I was a little low volume or whatever. But anyway, there's a short report, which is actually kind of surprising. I thought I had more notes than this, but anyway. The first one was for parks. We wanted to thank Rick Cowell for actually moving the boat that was in the park for so many months or weeks. On July 25th, the abandoned boat/trailer was removed by board member Rick Cowell, DPR. Parks and Rec appreciates the assistance of board member Cowell. So, about from DTS, Department of Transportation Services, Ken Lavasser requested a meeting. Left turn movement. So we're trying to schedule it right now. It actually almost got scheduled, but we had to kind of redo it. So we're myself, the Department of Transportation Services, I think State Highways too will be there. So anyway, we'll get the right people involved. Also Parks and Rec too, since they're going to use the parking lot as the turnaround for the proposal. So that once that meeting happens, then we can report out on that. And then the last one is, I think this is the one about having raised pavement markers. I think this is along Kamehameha Highway. This DFM, the facility maintenance, they asked for the exact locations for where you folks want to have the raised pavement markers, and they'll discuss this with the Department of Transportation to assess the locations, and if warranted, will issue either a legal paint and sign work order or have the contractor install them, or have a contractor install them. DDC will also have plans to contract resurfacing of the proposed roadways as part of the rehabilitation of streets projects that can install the raised pavement markers as part of that project. So there's probably multiple ways to get it done. So anyway, you know, actually, I think you folks did tell me where it was from what point to what point. So, but go ahead if you want to share again.
I asked that, excuse me, I asked that question, and I made the comment or the observation that when we travel along the Hamakua coast from Waimea to Hilo at night, particularly in stormy weather, those raised reflectors, particularly the yellow ones on a double solid yellow line around curves, makes a big difference when you're going around and unmarked shoulders, and particularly places where cars could go off the road. So I think it's common sense, I think, around curves and places where you wouldn't pass and that kind of thing, I think would be most helpful for people. And maybe where there's a chance that people could fall off the side of the road, that they be put along those particular places as well. Mahalo.
No guardrail. It's really dangerous. just Kahaluu side of Hiakia Valley, as you come out of Hiakia, coming towards Kahaluu.
Okay, John, can you give me what road is it on?
Kamehameha Highway.
Okay.
You
And
can
then-
probably zero in on the address.
It's before Brenton, so it's after the blinking light when you're headed towards Kahaluu. Huh?
No.
Oh, Brent, that's, oh, I'm thinking of Betty's house, sorry.
Hello, Mike. I've been asking for that for years. Talking about it for years. Jack.
And further this way.
Right before the Heia State Park.
Okay, yes.
In fact, you look where the pole is leaning almost over into the park soon.
To rely on folks. Senator Awaz's office called over to Dandy Picanso and his wife Merlene Pahia, who is Fuzzy Pahia's daughter, and their son Kanai, I guess you pronounce it, has a roll-off business. And I had to call her back and tell her how proud I was of him because, you know, I just remember him as a little boy. He was so polite and came and just, you know, he offered to remove the rubbish portion, which was the boat that we crushed up, and he actually paid for the tipping fee was a couple $100. And I think in good faith, the city should reimburse him that, maybe a little bit of fuel, just because. I mean, that was awfully nice of him to do, and I think that's something to do. Secondly, you know, I probably only got 2 hours of sleep last night because I have family on Maui, and Hawaii Island, there were some fires that broke out in Kauai High area, and in particular, Mauna Kea Beach Hotel. And I was hoping that this particular story would not be put on the news because they actually found a person in the bushes near those fires on Kauai High Road that had a blowtorch. So those fires were purposely set. And I think, you know, I think most of us in this room were raised with the notion that life is just a series of choices and consequences. And choices are made, but consequences are not instituted. And I think this particular case that we're talking about with the fire over here, so many people have put so much effort into this building. I mean, time and time, you know, we raised money originally to move it from Kamehameha Highway to this location. We've added this unit here. We've done landscaping. We've done all kinds of things in service to our community. And just to lose it in 1 nanosecond, like we lost Lahaina last night, is inexcusable. So I think we, you know, when the ACLU comes along and says, well, the kids, you know, so-and-so had a poor upbringing. Well, they should have had a proper upbringing. And in addition to that, I'd just like to say that too much effort was spent on talking about where that boat came from and, you know, put it on Waihee Road and then somebody will take it away. Well, you know, the law is you're not supposed to put it there in the first place. So why are we even talking about that? So I think, and so I'm thinking about it, and then with the, I'm sorry taking for so long, but I think this is something important going forward. I think we're gonna have a storm this year, so we need to start to think about if we had a storm, where do we put Tesla batteries? I just was talking to a friend in California and said Tesla batteries are stuck in the corner over here on a place. They're all piled up and nobody cares about it. Well, there's a lot of junk that goes into making those batteries, like we found out with the PV panels. So I think we should be thinking about when a storm happens, where do we put the green waste? Like, let's say in our community, do we put it at the district park? People can bring it there, centrally located. Where do we put the PV panels that they get disposed of properly? Where do we put the vehicles, especially EVs, so that they're disposed of properly? Because if we're expecting the Navy to do the right thing by our water table, we have to do the same thing ourselves. So I'm happy to sit down and begin a kind of an outline of where we might consider things, but I don't have the last answer. And perhaps it could be a working document that the city could, add to. We could maybe do a public hearing or a community event that others could add to it. But if we don't start thinking about this kind of thing and then the disaster occurs, then we're just running around chasing our tails. So please, let's think about that. Mahalo.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Rick, who, that, what is his last name?
Picanso. Picanso. I have his contact information.
Okay, I'll hook up with you later.
Just, it's nice to, the younger generation that doing the right thing, we should acknowledge.
Okay. I'll pass that on to the dog.
Well, talk about the guy who owned the boat.
Exactly, maybe take it out of the property taxes, I agree.
Okay, yeah, let's continue on. Does anybody else online have anything for Jiro here? Yeah, Ken has his hand up. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, Jiro, actually, I'd like to thank Jiro and especially the secretaries of the director and the deputy director for their valiant effort in trying to help us get our meeting put together. It should be real easy now because of the wonderful work they did. And Jiro himself, we really appreciate it. But anyway, I just wanted to thank him very much. Mahalo.
Cool. Auntie Rocky, go ahead.
Yeah, I kind of sort of agree. I do agree with
After Auntie Rocky, we're going to continue on.
what Rick had to say about the Opala. I mean, the batteries and stuff. I think that the city should start. In ancient Hawaii, everybody took care of your own kuleana, and on the island of Oahu, we have 6 moku, and I think each moku should take care of their own Opala and not just dump everything into like all of the landfill into Wamanalo, so-called the Wamanalo dump, which is the Hawaiian homestead property.
Waimanola Gulch, yeah.
Wamanalo Gulch, right? And I think every moku, since we got 6, our own moku, Kolapoko, should be looking for a recycling center of our own. City should be looking into that, to the whole island of Oahu, and not just dump everything into one place, because we might end up with it all on our laps also, like they did in Kailua.
Okay.
But it's not only the batteries, but it's all of the
Ken, are we seeing partner paused?
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I was gonna ask Jiro about the haiku steps.
But their batteries explode with salt water. And I just wondered if you had any rules for DPP, if they updated those rules for the car batteries. You don't have to tell me tonight, just
Okay, fine.
to think about it.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to take one more. Ian, I see that your hand's up. We can't hear you. Hold on 1 second, Ian. Hold on, we can't hear you. 1 second. Oh, you have to unmute on your end. There you go. Oh, still can't hear you. There you go. No. We can't hear you now. Sorry, technical difficulty.
Maybe he can chat, I mean, type the chat thing.
Ian was coming through to me easy.
Yeah, he's not coming through here.
Check, check. Can you hear me now?
There
Yes.
you go. There you go.
Oh, wow, you can hear me now. Okay, I just keep pressing the button. Real quick, Jiro, we've been hearing in our community about the mayor talking at town meetings about the potential of haiku steps being moved to Kahaluu Ranch, and I have community members who want to have a discussion with that. Should we have that now, or are you going to be around for the community section, because there are comments on that we're concerned about this idea?
Kind of hard to hear you, Ian. Like we hear you, but like we don't hear you clearly.
Okay, is that better? Okay, so
yeah, it's a little better. Yes.
the short hike, we had heard about the mayor discussing the haiku stairs being moved to Kahaluu Ranch.
Yeah, to Kahaluu Ranch.
Members on this meeting who want to ask you about that and discuss it. Is this the proper time, or do you know about it? You know, can we get a town hall, I mean, this town to discuss that, or Kaava perhaps, or a neighborhood meeting where we learn about these news?
Will there be a meeting, a town hall, either with you guys or in the community there in Kaava? What I heard. He just wants to know when's the right time to discuss that with you.
Okay, I'll go find out. I don't know
He's
about.
gonna find out for you, Ian.
Okay, Keone, I think there's some community members who will bring it up in the community concerns as well. So I don't know if that's a more appropriate place, but
Yeah.
wanted to give Jiro a heads up. Yeah.
Roger that. Okay.
Yeah, if we could present next month, that would be great.
Online at the moment, please let us know. Okay, so we do not have a representative for Estaquia Aina this evening. Councilmember Matt Wayer.
I'm sorry, I'm here. I couldn't hear you. This is Kim with
okay.
Councilmember Kia Aina's office. I don't have any big announcements or anything. She just wanted to thank the Kahaluu Neighborhood Board for the. Can you hear me?
Kimberly, 1 second, please. We're having technical difficulties.
Okay.
We hear you loud and clear, Kimberly.
I know, I could hear you too, Ian. Must be the wind is still affecting the connections.
That's a kind interpretation.
I mean, you know, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, there is. They're back.
Thank you. So are we connecting to a different spot? Are we good now? If you're good to go, Kimberly, you're clear. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Just wanted to, Councilmember wanted to thank the Kahaluu Neighborhood Board for your recent workshop on the little fire ant. And in the chat box, I'm going to put the Windward Town Hall.
Sorry,
That's okay.
We're gonna switch Wi-Fi's real quick. We apologize.
I'm gonna put what I want to say in the chat, just so that you know, in case we.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. That's great information.
I'm gonna put the flyer in there too, so you folks can see that. I think it's gonna be a good informational meeting.
Cool.
Am I on? Okay, Kimberly, you're good. You're good to go.
I'm good to go. She just
Yes.
wanted to thank everybody and let you folks know that there's gonna be an invasive species informational meeting on August 21 at Waimanalo and Elementary and Intermediate from 6 p.m. to 7:30. I'm going to put the actual flyer in the chat box in case anybody has any questions. She's doing it with a bunch of other people, and the lead is the Waimanalo Neighborhood Board. So if there's any questions, the contact information will be on the flyer. That's all I have.
Thank you. So we're moving on to Matt Wire now. Where? She was the expert, right? Yeah. So we're moving on to Council Member Matt Ware.
Hi, aloha.
How's it?
Aloha, Leitani Peltier on behalf of Council Member Matt Wire. Just a few updates. So this morning, City Council presented an honorary certificate to Key Project Executive Director Rainbow Uli'i, congratulated and recognizing her for her service and commitment to the Ko'olaupoku communities. A few other legislative updates today. Bill 4 passed its final reading. Bill 4 updates the Building Energy Conservation Code for the City and County of Honolulu. The bill aims to ensure our buildings are energy efficient and that they also contribute to significant reductions in greenhouse gas emissions. This bill emphasizes the importance of innovative approaches and techniques to achieve these reductions and lays the groundwork for electric vehicle infrastructure to position Honolulu at the forefront of sustainable transportation. I'll put a link to a press release in the chat when I'm Powell with my report. Councilmember Wire also introduced Bill 47, which would require the city's curbside recycling program to include the collection of manufactured compostable materials. So basically all the materials that are specifically made to break down in a compost system at the end of its useful life. Bags, food packaging, cups, plates, and so forth. So it just got introduced, hasn't even had the first hearing yet, but we're looking forward to the discussion about our waste streams and what we do looking forward into the future. Happy to field any questions or community concerns.
Okay, quick question, Rick Towell. Again, I think if we're going to try to institute consequences for people dumping things on the side of the road, then the first order of business is to have a comprehensive list about, let's say you have a boat and a trailer, you want to get rid of it just because that was we spent so much time last week on that. So where do you take the boat? Take the engine out of it, take the fluids out of it, then you take it to the dump or one of the transfer stations, and then you get rid of the trailer in the metal pile. So when we then know, or citizenry then know where and how you're supposed to dispose of these materials, then if you don't do it properly and it's on the side of the road, then you can't get another boat license from DLNR, or you can't get another re-registration for your vehicle from the city and county of Honolulu because you didn't do things properly. I mean, I think we have to start thinking in terms of that versus, we'll go put it on the road and somebody will take it away. Mahalo.
Thank you, Rocky.
Aloha, Letani. Just as a question that I conferred with with Matt a few weeks ago, a concern from one of our members that lives on Kamehameha Highway that also has a boat that goes into the Kaneohe Bay for touring. He said he called the Department of Land and Natural Resources as a concern with the commercial businesses that's going on in Mokuli'i. And he was told by the Department of Land and Natural Resources that it was out of their jurisdiction because Mokuli'i belonged to the city, but which I always thought, no matter what, an islet or island in all state waters was still shared responsibility with the Department of Land and Natural Resources. So I did call Matt, and he was supposed to look into it. So whose responsibility is it? Because it is an illegal business, and it is a Mokuli'i, and it shouldn't be happening on Mokuli'i because, you know, people drowned out there before. Mahalo.
Yeah, Matt passed on that information to me, and then I did give that constituent a phone call and never heard back. So actually, what I should do is follow up again with another phone call. I did look into it. Mokuli'i is city and county of Honolulu property. The commercial activities that are going on, the kayaks that are off the side of Cam Highway, actually, so my understanding is that's actually a state DOT issue because it's off of Cam Highway. And then it becomes a city issue because it's through the city and county of Honolulu. I know that's been a long-standing issue. I don't know if there are multiple different people doing kayak operations out there. I know there's at least one person who has been doing it for a number of years. And one other thing with the recent legislation that Representative Kitagawa's office passed, now those operations are super illegal because, you know, Kualoa Beach is part of Kaneohe Bay, and that's commercial activities within Kaneohe Bay. And so I'm not sure what discussions the state has had with the city in terms of how to enforce that now, but I can follow up on that because it's something that our office has been wondering about as well.
Mahalo. I would hope to get a phone call maybe by tomorrow because Ahamoko wants to be working on top of that also. Yeah. Mahalo.
Go ahead.
Matt, so the problem over the weekend was that our lifeguards, the city and county lifeguards, had to go fetch the people who fell off the kayaks because of the wind. So the city, who you represent, you're spending money to keep this guy in business because basically he put them out there in the wind and then they fell off the kayaks and then our lifeguards had to go fetch them. And so that's extremely expensive. Not only that, it's dangerous for our lifeguards. So it's really now a matter of life and death. It's above jurisdiction.
Hey, John, go ahead.
The simple solution is to put Mokuli'i under DLNR and take it out of the city's hands. City can't handle it. Parks has way too much to deal with. Kapapa Island is DLNR jurisdiction. Keep it simple. Transfer it.
Go ahead. Can somebody please give her the microphone? Ian, I see that your hand's up. We'll be coming to you shortly. Oh, okay. And then Ken, I also see that your hand's up. We'll be getting to you shortly.
Okay, Amy Lewerson. So one comment, I believe on Kailua Beach Park, the city has an ordinance that prohibits kayaks and others with X 1,000 feet, I think it is, from the park. We don't have that same sort of ordinance, I don't believe, for Kualoa, but something like that might help them from just pulling up on the side of Kamehameha Highway, which that part of Kamehameha is state, but they're next to a city park and then launching them from there. So I don't know whether that's a solution or not, but.
Thank you. Ken, you're up.
Yeah, Leitani, just so that you're sure to understand the part of Kamehameha Highway between Ulamau Village, Ahia State Park, and Kahaluu Lagoon, where Hygienic Store is. That is city. Okay, and there's a lot of area there. Just recently, there was a complaint about the guardrail hadn't been repaired for years, and it was in the news. But so that is city. The city knows it's theirs, but also enforcement wise, you make sure we're getting it right when you have the city's part. It's the only section of Kamehameha Highway in the state that belongs to a county. Okay, so after that, it's state, and before that, it's state. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Anybody else have questions for Leitani? No. Oh, Ian. Okay, go ahead, Ian.
Just a quick one. Any update on the Waikane emergency services thing that we were at? Anything coming from city and county or anyone regarding the?
You gotta come closer to your camera. I mean, to your mic.
Any update to your to the Waikane issue with that we met about the emergency services building?
No updates. I don't have my calendar in front of me, so I can't remember exactly how long ago it was when we had that site visit. But I'll follow up with Director Ireland to see if they've had any further discussions about the siting of the facility they want to put out there.
Thank you.
Okay, John, then Clifford, then.
Okay.
we'll move on.
Ian, one update I have, I got a call from Dr. Ireland after our site visits to both Waikane and to Hakipu'u. And I don't think anything is to be decided about where an emergency unit would go. They are interested in the idea of something maybe Hakipu'u side. But what has taken place is the land, the 30 acres or so on the Makai side of the 500 acres that the county has, Mauka of the highway, has been signed over to emergency services because he wants to support Lo'i restoration and so on, as we talked about. So that has taken place.
Clifford, go ahead.
Yeah, this is an old subject about cleaning the river on Wahe Road at the beginning, Wahe and Kamehameha Highway. Clean that stream out and Pulama Road stream. It's all drainage. Because right now everybody pointing finger between the city and state. Who would clean it?
Thank you, Clifford. Okay, so thank you, Leitani, for your time. You have a lot to research now, so we'll let you go. Next up is the Board of Water Supply, Barry Usagawa, or representative. So if there is no representative or Barry himself, oh, wait, it's waiting. I don't think so. Okay, so no rep for Board of Water Supply this evening. We will move on to Governor Josh Green representative, Scott Murakami. Okay, so no representative for Governor Josh Green. Next would be Senator Brenton Awal.
Can I interject something about the governor's rep?
No, because they're not here at the moment, so.
But it's a different rep now. It's a different person.
Okay, so who are you claiming is the rep that you know
It's Myung-Fa Chung, and she's the materials testing lab on the side of Leaky Leaky Highway. She's from there. She's now the governor's rep. And the reason I know is because we're trying to get DOT involved in that left turn off of Kamehameha Highway onto Waihe'e Road. So that's
Okay.
the only reason I know it. I
So
don't know if she's here. It's late
tonight.
on. It's not. It's
Yeah, she's not here at the moment, so we're going to continue on with the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Next is Representative Lisa Kitagawa. She actually will not be here this evening, and I have something here from her office. So this is from Lisa's office. We completed our third annual Castle Complex School Supply Drive at the end of July. Thanks to the generosity of the community, we provided over 500 students in the Castle Complex, including students at Ahuimanu, Kahaluu, and Waihole Elementary with school supplies again this year. We are grateful that students in need will be able to start the school year off with the necessary supplies to help them learn and grow. If students or if students or families need school supplies, please have them reach out directly to the school's office. Each school's principal picked up the supplies and the supplies are located at the school. We'd also like to thank the 50+ volunteers who put in over 150 hours of service staffing our donation table at Windward Mall for 3 days and sorting and packing supplies for 4 days. Thank you also to our community partners, Castle alumni and community associations, Anchor Church, Kiwanis Club of Kaneohe, Rotary Club of Kaneohe, Windward Mall, Kamehameha Schools, Community Works in 96744, and Windward Community College for their help in putting this drive on. By working together and collaborating, we can make such a positive difference for our community. Thank you. Next up. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, may we ask a question to her, please, that in the same way she did the study on PV panels, if she could do the same thing for Tesla batteries that are attached to a PV system for homes, like fellow member Art
Okay.
asked, and
Yeah.
also the car batteries and how we in Hawaii would dispose of them and where.
Okay, thank you. Windward Community College Chancellor Artis, are you present? She is not present, so the next on the agenda would be the Kaneohe Bay Regional Council. Clifford Liu, you're up. You got anything?
I think the country, I think the Bayrock has something to say, Makai Watch, this is the
Yeah, please come up here to the microphone. Thank you, guys.
Let us know in the next meeting.
Hi, aloha. I'm Christy Kaluhiva, and we did have our first Makai Watch after the bill was signed. We had Tanya, the harbor master, Casey from, where's Casey's? From HCG, thank you. And several of the board members of the Kaneohe Bay Regional Council. During that time, DLNR was out in full force. So we had several officers who were able to cite up to 10 boats for different infractions, ranging from not enough life jackets to one individual who arrived with his boat. And because Tanya has kept such a good eye on the activities there at the harbor, she was able to identify that this particular boat had been purchased from one individual and sold to another individual. And so they requested that he provide his boat driver's license, which is required, which he did not have. He was told to park the boat over there at the harbor, and he said he'd go home and get it, but of course he did not return. It was very productive. Our next one, and if anybody is interested in coming out, will be this Saturday for Labor Day weekend. We plan to be there at approximately 7:30, and usually there till about noon. Everybody knows that most of that activity happens around 10 o'clock. Again, it was very productive, and we'd like to have more people show up and have DLNR with a little bit more grit. I think if there was a request, it would be so that they had an understanding of what more they can do to target some of those commercial activities that kind of evident. One of the guys said, well, if it looks like a duck and walks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask you, when is the next meeting for the Kaneohe Bay Regional Council? I don't remember.
The next meeting for the regional council.
Let me check my calendar.
Okay. So we'll come back to her when she has that information. And Clifford, you have nothing else, right?
The meeting is August 24th.
Oh, Okay, August 24th is the next meeting for the Kaneohe Bay Regional Council. Thank you, Clifford. Next up is the Hi'eokea Pier, Small Boat Harbor, Tanya Bora Bora. No? Okay. Next up is the U.S. Congress Representative Jill Tokuda.
Hi, this is Nicole Gray. I'm here representing the Office of Congresswoman Jill Takuda. I'll just give our brief update and then be available to take back any questions that anybody has. So Congresswoman Takuda has started her series of Takuda in Your Town. She and her team will be going to communities to help constituents navigate the federal government and its agencies. She is committed to making sure that you have an advocate on your side and that you can access all the resources that the federal government can provide, from passport issues, IRS immigration, Social Security benefits, veterans benefits, and more. We are here to help. The first was in Hilo at the Public Library, August 2nd. And additional events are being scheduled. Please visit our website to find the schedule of events when things are coming up. We have some upcoming town halls starting out August 19th from 3 to 4 in Kihei, Maui. Wednesday, August 23rd from 6 to 7, Waimanalo, location to be determined. And August 26th in Hilo at the YMCA. Once again, please check our website for any updates. And our military academy nominations has opened. We are receiving applications that can all be done online, and you can check the website for more information or to get answers to frequently asked questions. Rep. Takuda has partnered with Rep. Diana Harshberger of Tennessee to launch the Congressional Bipartisan Rural Health Caucus to address issues relating to access to healthcare and mental health services for those living in remote areas. I will go ahead and put in the chat how to get in touch with our office and the links to these. If anyone has any questions.
John Rapoon has a question for the representative.
First, Nicola, thanks to the representative for showing up here at Key Project for the meeting about little fire ants. That was great to have her here in person. You're having a town hall meeting on the 23rd of August in Waimanalo, and there is a meeting.
21st.
You said the 21st? You said the 23rd.
Yes, it's the 21st, right?
No, know that, but I thought I heard Nicole talking about a town hall meeting on the 23rd.
No,
Is that
it's,
correct?
Hold on, my page just went away with all my notes. This is the 23rd, yeah. The town hall is on the 23rd.
So I'm
In
thinking,
Waimanalo.
why not just close ranks with the 21st? Because there's a pretty major meeting happening at Waimanalo Elementary School and about invasives, which is what Waimanalo wants to be talking about right now, along with all the rest of us. So just a suggestion.
Okay, I'll bring that suggestion back.
Okay. All right, thanks.
I'm not sure with because she's doing things throughout
right.
the whole district, so I don't know where the schedule leaves her on that day, but I will definitely bring that back and make them aware of the 21st and the invasives. And where is that meeting, did you say?
That is happening at
On the 21st?
Waimanalo Elementary School, I believe. Joe? Waimanalo Elementary? At what time?
At what time?
6
It'll be from
6 to
7.
10:30 the evening of the
7:30.
21st. Thanks.
7:30, right? Not 10:30.
Oh,
He said
oh,
10:30.
Yeah.
So it'll be from 6
It'll be
to
6 to 10.
7:30.
Thanks.
Waimanalo Elementary.
Okay, thank you for the heads up on that.
Cool. Okay, anybody else? Okay. go ahead.
If Senator could ask her colleagues to help Lisa Kitagawa, how does the rest of the country, each state, recycle their PV panels and their Tesla batteries for home storage and for automobiles. Mahalo.
Thank you. Is that all? Anyone from the community have anything to chime in on? Okay, so we will move on. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, I'm gonna come back to her once we get our Marine Corps guys up, and then I'll circle back to her, and then we'll get to the community. Thank you. Kaneohe Marine Corps Base, Gunnery Sergeant Orlando Perez, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, Gunny Perez couldn't be here tonight, so I'm
Okay.
Major Jordan Fox, the Marine Corps Base Hawaii spokesman. Gunny's out of town in Texas this evening, but we'll swap interchangeably. Maybe we'll see us both in the future. It's good to be here in person finally after seeing you guys virtually for a couple times. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
18 August is when Bellows camping is going to resume. I know it's been paused for turtle nesting. So anyone interested in that, 18 August is the date. We're looking forward to our tour of the Heia Pond with Ole Nu'upia Hui on 25 August in partnership with Marine Corps Base and the Hui. And then for any volunteer opportunities such as cleaning the stream or whatever you guys are looking for, we've got a bunch of Marines that can come out and assist. So please contact me so I can organize or help organize those events and get those things done for the community.
Cool. Can you drop a line for us, your information, so that way we can contact you? John also has a question for you.
Yeah, if you got an extra card, it'd be great.
Thank you.
So I was going to ask you about volunteering. You guys have some manpower, I heard, and we definitely need that manpower. We're battling invasives, little fire ants. That it takes it's labor intensive. Joe Watt in the back corner here can explain that. We're also battling albizia trees, which are also very invasive, and that takes a lot of manpower to go up into the watershed areas and either girdle or apply a judicious amount of herbicides and so on. But I think it really could help, especially because the military has had a pretty heavy footprint in our area, from Waikane to Heiakea to Waihe'e. These are all formerly used defense sites. I think it would be very appropriate to get that kind of manpower to apply. So we would appreciate that.
Absolutely, we're open to it, and we will be at the invasive species town hall to learn more about it and see what we can do. So,
Dan, sorry, Dan.
I had an easy question for you.
Sure.
So you guys cycle in and out every year, sometimes every 3 years. We're working very hard on looking at sewage emissions from various places on the island. We understand that you all are doing a lot of building and a lot of increased infrastructure. Could you make it a regular part of your guys' report when there is a sewage spill and what the quantity is? Because we're having to enforce it for the regular citizens, but we don't know what the magnitude of what you folks are up to.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I know that you know it, but the question is, could you publish it as a regular part of your report? We had a spill, this is the quantity, because it's hard for us to enforce on the people on the island if we don't know where it's all coming from.
That's absolutely possible, and
Thank you.
I think we can get that done. Yep.
Cool, Rick.
Do you ask across to your fellow Navy people? Today I saw a curious sight going on the freeway towards Eva, and that was the super ferries in one of the locks in our old super ferry that doesn't have any paint on it. I was just wondering what the use might be and what's happening. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. I see that Artis signed on, so we're going to give her an opportunity to speak on behalf of the Windward Community College before we move on to the next agenda, which is the resident and community concerns. Artis, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Please excuse, I'm on the road. And I can't believe I'm on so early. This is amazing. So thank you. School starts in 2 weeks. Our enrollment is doing pretty well so far. Today we had our first day for the cohort of middle college. We have a 9th grade class who'll be studying 3 days a week on the campus. They're studying the Hawaiian Knowledge Innovation Certificate in partnership with Kailua High School. So that's really exciting to have that class starting. It's the first middle college in all of the state of Hawaii. We're creating a model for college on the high school and college combined on the college campus. And then one other thing I wanted to note is that we are now working strategically to provide for scholarships for groups that would need them. In the past year, we created our whole, well, actually for the past 2 years, we created with Castle Foundation the Ho'ole Freshman Scholarships. We are now adding to our scholarship portfolio scholarships for former foster involved youth based on research we did into the needs of our foster involved youth at the college and helping them to succeed despite a lot of barriers that go on in their lives. So if you know someone who's a former foster involved youth and they would like to go to college and are afraid of the financial barriers, we have assistance, both financial and other supports to help them. So that's the big news for today. Mahalo nui, and sorry if I missed when you asked me the first time. I don't think I've ever been on before 9:30 before.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, so now that that is completed, we are going to move to the residents and community concerns. Before we start, can I just ask that everybody be like decisive with their communication? The man sitting next to me is writing all of this down. Know what you're trying to ask it, and we can let the next community member ask. Anyone here want to start off with any concerns that they have? Go ahead and take the microphone, ma'am. Or, yeah.
Testing.
Oh, yeah, podium, yeah. Sorry.
So 47850 to maybe 47857. We need a storm drain there, and we've needed it for 35, 40 years, and it just gets worse. That section of the highway, maybe, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago, they changed the radius and also the elevation. And there are two storm drains, the one's at Kaimalolo, and the other is before the Monitods. It's a big storm drain. It's between like 847, and maybe, I don't know, before the Monitods. So there's two storm drains on each side of that, and the road goes like this. So all of the water just comes straight down to about 6 properties on the water, and everything goes into the ocean.
And is that on Cam Highway that way?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It's about a quarter mile before the Poi Factory.
Yeah, I know where the Monitods. Yeah.
So I don't know who to request that from, or how to get that started, but it's slow
Yeah,
go.
Department of Transportation, the state.
And
But yeah, we'll take note of that in this, and we'll try to figure it out.
and there's actually building going on now, so it's just going to get a little bit worse. There's a couple of properties. Okay.
Okay, cool. Thank you for your time. Anyone else have any concerns they want to bring? Just the lights? Yeah. You want to go ahead and speak, or you want to speak? Go ahead. Yeah, now's the time.
I kind of noticed that by the Haya fish ponds, when they put the new lights on the bridge, now the lights are on 24/7. It's been like a whole month. I called either the city or the state, and typical, it's not mine, it's the state or it's the city, it's the bounce back, and nothing happened. And this was about a couple of weeks ago that I called them, and it's the same situation. So I was wondering if they can actually turn the lights off, or Yep.
And yeah, daytime. all day,
Daytime,
all
24/7.
night.
It's
Yeah.
been on for the whole last
I
whole
leave
month.
for work in the morning, they're on. I come back from
Yeah.
work, and they're on.
It's been like that since they put the new lights
And it's
up.
sunny both times. So, I actually want to quickly add to his concern because it kind of folds into mine. The lights in general are one of the concerns because they're new lights, and the way that they're modeled and the way that it's all set up, but more so the hydrants that follow that bridge. Okay, they're numbered W3310 to W3315. There's also 2 other ones sitting directly in front of the entrance to Haia Boat Harbor, which are numbered W678 and W679. I just want to know why they're there, because they popped up a couple of years ago, and normally when you add hydrants like that, from what I've noticed through my life, you're about to build some residential development of some sort, because there's no residents there. There's nothing really there. So I'm just curious. I'm concerned just because I would like the community to be aware if there is any planning going on for that area, what it may be, how it's going to impact them. I'm also not the only one that had that concern. I have a few members in my community that have also brought that to my attention since they've found out that I'm on this board now. So I just wanted to address that. So that's what I'm asking.
I think Board of Water Supply had a rule that you had to be within 300 feet of a fire hydrant, or you had to put in your own fire protection system for your home. We had to do that. They've since pinched it up, so now you have to be within 100 feet. So I think in order to address that, that's why there are more hydrants.
Yeah, I think, but there's no homes there.
Well,
yeah, there's nothing at the moment, and like that's why I'm concerned, because they put in those lights that this gentleman just brought up not that long after they put in those hydrants that will put out no residential fires.
I think it's to put out the fires that Lea is making with the mangrove. No, I can't.
Yeah. Like, but those are controlled by the water in the area, right? For dogs. Yeah. So they can pee, but they can't even walk on that sidewalk. But yeah, that is a legitimate concern of the community in my neighborhood. So thank you. Okay, Ken's got his hand up. You're next, Ken.
Yeah, the Kaimalolo to Manatad's issue. If we are still the infrastructure committee as previously set up, we can look into that. That would be infrastructure. And also the lights on 24/7. That is city property because it's between Leaky Highway and Hygienic Store, Kamehameha Highway. So that is city lights. And so our infrastructure committee can look into that also. Now the hydrants, well, Rick's on our committee. If he's still on our committee, he can look into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Clifford, you're up.
Yes, now this fire hydrant thing came up. It's the same thing like with the crosswalk, right past the pier. There's nobody living there. Why do they paint the crosswalk? It's still there. I mean, the city cannot even figure it out yet. You know, that's a thought. And another one, Kahaluu, Poco, City County Yard. Are they a working yard or just a recess yard for them to take a break? Are they working?
Rick will go and then.
No, you're looking at it. No, because I will find out. No, because at King High School. The reason I asked is I passed the Long Bridge today. Okay, it seemed like somebody was doing work on a sidewalk, but this was 12:30, and nobody else was there. So I don't know if it's the Minihuni is working half day or what, or they on half day schedule. Because that sidewalk there, it's supposed to be a sidewalk, not a 2 foot or 1 foot sidewalk. You're supposed to get what, 3 feet or better for sidewalk. So all these kind of complaints coming out from the pier to the bridge. Why people walk on a road? Because they don't want to walk on a dirt. Because when they poison the grass, all the dirt runs down, erosion. And the city don't even do nothing until somebody will get run over. So I seen them working, not seen them working, but I know work being done, trying to shovel off all the dirt off on the sidewalk, open up the sidewalk. So the sidewalk gotta be clean all the way to King School.
Okay, thank you, Clifford. Rick, you're up.
So I wanted to put back on the table 2 surveys that we asked years ago for. First one was in Kahaluu Regional Park, because there was an unauthorized person in the back there. He's since moved to Texas, but we still need to know where the boundary of that park is so that we could go ahead with some other activities there. And particularly if we get a storm and we need to use that area for green waste storage in a big storm or something like that. But we just as a community, we need to know that. And I think there's a woeful lack of leadership in Parks Department that we have not heard back from Parks on that. Number two is the survey that we asked for along Ajo Olelo Road fronting the old Garcia property. I know Ken is not in favor of widening that road, but maybe we could put a temporary guardrail to pinch down the road to keep people from speeding. But I think we need to understand where the boundary is, that if we use that corridor for emergency vehicles, should we get a storm, we need to know where that boundary is. Mahalo.
Okay, Art, you're up. Grandpa.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, this question was brought up about Haiku and Cam Highway. And problem is going to get worse because you got the new target. And what happens is school just started. And if you're taking kids to here school, like I have a grandson that is at here school, trying to make the traffic from Haiku back to Cam about 2:30, 3 o'clock, you gotta wait a long time. There's the shopping center right across the street. So I asked for some kind of check on that area because this past Saturday, Target was actually overload. The people coming up on the Haiku and want to turn into the shopping center had to wait. We waited about 18 minutes just to go into the shopping center. So I would like to have the city do some follow-up because 10 years ago, we had no results. And this is when Mayor Kaika Henderson was in charge. We would appreciate some feedback about that area because I think it's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse because of Target.
It's Haiku Roll and Kamehameha. Yes. It's a okay. John, did you have something? Okay, Auntie Rocky, you're up. And then after Auntie Rocky, I see Ian's hand was up and there was another. Okay, you can go after Auntie Rocky.
Check. Okay. I agree with the Art because we've been talking about that for years, and I even seen people go through the red light. They get disgusted of waiting. We're coming from our side, Kahaluu side, to turn. The people are impatient because the light it's not signal. It's not like the rest of the lights. Our side is just for some reason it takes longer than the other side. But then I'm going to talk to what Clifford said about the sidewalks. It's clean from the bridge all the way up to the HCDA end of their property line, the boundary, because I know because Kakoo Evie cleans it, the sidewalk. The rest of the way that is owned by the city is not clean, but the people can't use the sidewalk anyway. We've put in some complaints to the city with our concerns about the sidewalk. That is the reason we asked for the no parking signs, especially on weekends, because people cannot use the sidewalks on weekends anyway, because there's cars parked over the sidewalk that you can't use it. In fact, the wheels are halfway on the road. This past weekend, somebody came to visit me. They said, we just called the 911. I said, what for? They said, because we saw people running across from the bus stop here, State Park, but they was walking around cars on the road because there was no sidewalk. So that's the city's problem because it is a city highway. It needs to be corrected. And it needs to be cleaned more often because the HCDA state portion, they clean the highway, even though it's city highway, up until their boundary line. Mahalo.
Awesome. John? You're up.
Sorry, no, I remember. So Rick's point about Kahaluu Regional Park and the survey that was done, Jiro, what really needs to happen is Parks needs to come in and plant their flag, declare where their territory is, because unless they put up signs saying this is Parks, then HPD has no jurisdiction. And that's been the problem. The long discussions with Laura Thielen about this, a whole crew of probably 20 people came out doing the survey. They've surveyed everything from behind Key Project, the entire Kahaluu Regional Park. But they never came in and finished the job of showing where their territory, where their boundaries are. And that will help us immensely. Yeah, thanks.
Just as a follow-up, I learned a good thing from Russ Figueroa in my dad's office years ago. When you indicate where there's a boundary pin, if you take a galvanized T-bar, that's the kind of bar that you use for a cattle fence, and then you put a 10-foot half-inch pipe, an inch-and-a-half pipe over that, then you'll always know where that boundary is.
Okay, Ian, I see that you've had your hand up for a while. Let's go ahead and address your concerns.
I've got two concerns. The second one I'm going to pass over to Summer Fukumitsu, whose hand is up online. But my first concern, one I spoke with Ken about, which is Johnson Road has a mirror on Kamehameha Highway on the Malka side of the highway that is critical to all of us who live on this road to get out. It's been broken twice in the last decade, and the mirror has gotten smaller each time. So this third mirror is very small, very hard to see, and worse yet, it got hit by a branch or a car or something. So now it faces us on Johnson Road. We can't see cars coming until after they're up over the hill when it's too late. We've had 90 accidents over 35 plus years there. And I am requesting from the governor's representative and DOT and everybody involved that we replace the mirror with a bigger mirror for the safety of our residents on the street and all of the tourists that turn around at this spot trying to find the public access that's at the end of the road but is blocked off.
Okay, and then you said Summer had the second concern for your area.
Yes, that concern is the moving of Haiku stairs.
Okay, there she is. Okay, right on. She's back up. Summer, you are on. Oh, can't hear you.
Aloha.
Oh, there you are.
Can you hear me? Okay, sorry. I just had a concern regarding the haiku stairs being moved to our community or neighboring communities. I think there was a lawsuit filed this week regarding the haiku stairs, but over the years, I've heard murmurs about the stairs being moved to this side of the island, and I haven't really believed it. It seemed extremely bizarre and not possible to do that. But I know the mayor has made statements in recent months about in his town hall meetings about having a plan for the stairs to be moved to Kualoa Ranch. I think in April he made that statement again. So I was hoping to ask the mayor's office if they had any information about that, or if there was a plan that they had, and if it could be shared to our community to have like comments on it. And then also, I guess I figured bring it up here to see if anyone else has heard of that, and if that is a concern that anyone else has. It just seems, I mean, it does seem really bizarre that the stairs would be moved to this side of the island, but I just figured bring it up just in case that is, I mean, the mayor stated it, so I just wanted to try to address that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, the mayor's representative is still here, and he noted it down. So Joe, oh, you're out, bro.
I put a quote in the
Hi,
chat.
everyone. I just wanted to give a little update for those of you folks who were at the August 3rd meeting here at Key Project about the little fire ants. I know that we got the news that there was a LFA sample that tested positive for LFA up on Waihe'e Road. Over the today and yesterday, I went and I did a little bit of surveying around there, and I am not an ant identification expert, However, the residents that were there said, yo, these are the stinging ants, and we found them pretty expansively up there. So what I'm asking is, one, for folks that are, the properties were very close to the parks lands beyond the Board of Water Supply gate over there. So I would like a response from Parks Department about what their LFA testing policy is and what their response is. We've been in great communication with Board of Water Supply, so thank you to them for that. Also, if anybody knows or has ohana that is up Waihe'e Road past the fork, I would love being connected with them. From my understanding on the August 3rd meeting, there are very few designated staff for doing the community connections and outreach. So if we can come together in order to get addresses, names, contact information for the, and access in order to survey the properties, we're going to let them show up in 2 days, sample everything, figure out what we've got to do, and then we can get this out of our community. That would be my preference as somebody that does a lot of outside stuff. I don't want to deal with them.
Awesome.
If you folks have any questions, let me know. Yes.
Can we put the fire ant kits at the key project for people to pick up?
Absolutely.
So do you have any?
They're coming on Friday with more. Friday, also if, so what I've been doing is I have a jar of peanut butter in my car and like $3 pack of 200 skewers.
Yeah, you don't need any.
Yeah, and so I just go for that. I write down where I sampled it. I also, because I'm trying to do like a survey, I have like little maps that I'm going around and marking where I'm taking them from, just because I'm trying to establish as many properties that are impacted as possible. So far, we've got 5, and it's like on the other sides of the roads. It's on both Waihe'e Place and Waihe'e Road. So, yeah. So it is, yeah, any connections, I can send out my email. My email is,
Sending the kits in to the state.
they're coming on, I have so many feelings about this. They're coming in person on Friday. So if anybody in the community has tests or would like to test their yard and bring them to Key Project, we can pass them off for you folks. But please freeze them overnight first, because I don't want to get LFA from your bags. So there you go.
Okay. Anyone else? John, one more.
Just want to thank Joe for all of the work you've put into this. I mean, really an incredible amount of work over a very short time, pulling together the fire ants meeting and then following up with Waihe'e. If people go to the Ant Lab, if you look up the Ant Lab,
stoptheant.com.
Yeah,
stoptheant.org.
incredible amount of information. This is the kind of issue where Joe and I've talked about this. We can't be pointing fingers. We can only point a finger forward for all of us. Everybody has to be involved. Some of what we talked about that night and continue to talk about is that government is moving too slowly. So people like Terry George are there from the Harold K. El Casa Foundation. We've got to be looking at private funding to fill in the gap. The whole effort is so understaffed and underfunded. It's not even funny. And we're at that critical tipping point with like over 30 sites that are already known. I think what we find out with Mauka Waihe'e is that unless people know what they're looking for, we're not going to see all the other sites. There's probably way more than 30 sites. So yeah, we've got to get on this.
If I could chime in with one last comment. As we walked around, I met with the person who reported the sample and went and spoke to several of the neighbors. Each time I was like, oh, I'm going to go put a stick on top of your plant. And they said, that's stupid. Let me show you where they are. All of these people knew that they had something in their house, but they did not know what it was. So what I'm going to encourage folks to do is we've got to figure out an additional outreach strategy for talking to people about fire ants, because people were like, I was getting bit by stuff and I didn't know what it was. And then they cut down the tree and thought they got rid of it. Or they've got a can of Raid in their garage and they're spraying it on the ground and they're not testing. And so what we've got to remember is that as much as we want to fund these government organizations that are going to do this stuff for us, they've been saying the same stuff for years. And the reason why the test that got sent in up Waihe'e was sent in was because that woman's uncle was given a test in Ahuimanu by Kapua Cabello, who was also at the August 3rd meeting. So the power of you talking to your cousins, your uncles, your neighbors is what got this probably 4-year-old infestation identified. So power to you and power to us.
Thank you, Joe.
And let's get rid of these ants.
Appreciate you, man. Okay, so if there are no more community concerns, we're gonna move on to board business.
Well, there's one more. I had a concern, had my hand up as well.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, we didn't see that. Go ahead,
Oh, you're
Jonah.
good, brother. Good evening, everybody, community members and board members. Thank you guys. Apologies, I can't be there in person tonight at an emergency. Last month, I came by and I requested that we ask DOT to have another hearing on the roundabout. I wanted to know if there's any progress made on it, if at all.
No progress.
All I can say is that the train has left the station, the roundabout is going to happen. The only question is how to mitigate impacts, any slowdowns of traffic and so on. The question that I have for DOT is, when are you going to get started? Because this has already been a couple of months of pretty much great weather to be moving on it. But yeah, as far as whether or not this is going to happen, it is going to happen. It's funded, it's designed and so on. So the real questions to be asking are, how do we mitigate any impacts during the construction? And then can we help people to
My
learn?
real question would be like, why it was put under so quickly? I mean, there was one community hearing, one. Not enough to actually take in the full concern of the community. You might have had a very skewed amount of community members that had attended the first meeting, but not enough to get a full consensus of it. So yes, the idea is that the ball is moving on it. There's other things that they could put that money towards. I mean, like that left turn roundabout, extend the lane down over by the Waihe'e Regional Park. Other things that money could be used for. I mean, shoot, fires in Lahaina.
Sorry, I couldn't quite understand what you're saying about Waihe'e Road.
He's concerned about how it moved so quickly after just one meeting about it, instead of like the community at large being more involved in depending on why it's happening, is what I heard. Yeah, Jonah?
So I can tell you this, Jonah, that the roundabout was actually fully designed, ready to go out to bid 22 years ago. This has been a long project to get back on the books.
In 22 years, it hadn't been moved. That's the interesting point. Why not? Did you have pushback then as it is now?
Because DOT at this point in time, DOT has moved ahead because this is the safest treatment of the intersection of any of the other options. It's absolutely safest treatment.
So what John is basically saying is it's already going forward. The only thing we can do now is figure out how we're going to work together to make sure traffic doesn't affect all of us. Like the questions about the community being involved are no longer relevant to the situation because it's already passed, is what he's saying. So the next questions you got to start asking, what he's suggesting is how we're going to mitigate traffic because it's happening already. Now we got to figure out when it's going to happen and reach out to our community to let them know that it's going to happen at this time. And this is what we should do as a community to work together to make sure the traffic flows because it's happening already, is what they're saying.
I have information.
Yes, sir.
Ken, go ahead and share your information, and then we're gonna.
Okay, in the 2017 legislature, the House passed a resolution asking DOT to move forward with the roundabout because it had been studied for so long. Okay, and at that time there was a state moratorium on all roundabouts. So the roundabout was ready to go in, like John said, and then the state put a moratorium statewide, no roundabouts. We want to study it. Okay, that's why it was so long, not because it's a bad idea. So then the House of Representatives, state of Hawaii, passes a resolution saying move forward on it. And although the Senate didn't make it a concurrent resolution, they did have support for the House's resolution saying move forward on this roundabout.
Okay, thank you for that information, Ken. I hope that answers your questions, Jonah. I mean, the best thing you can do now is just wait and prepare everybody for what's coming. That's all we can do.
One quick comment. Folks at these meetings about the roundabout said that, well, the real problem is the left turn at Waihe'e Road. And we've been really working towards addressing that. And so you could help us by calling Department of Transportation Services and urge the city to consider having the bus come up and do their drop off and pick up at Kahaluu Regional Park. Folks can use the restroom, and then we can get rid of the bus stops along Kamehameha Highway in the short term and put the left turn lane onto a stacking lane onto for people to turn onto Waihe'e Road, and that will help that situation until such time the state can acquire the land on the Makai side to be able to do it properly.
Thank you for that. I hope that helps you, Jonah. We are going to now continue on with our meeting. Board business. So
I move that we accept, approve the July meeting minutes as
second. Yeah, seconded, third. Yeah, so Dan Bender moved. Who seconded or? Rocky second. Yeah. Okay, so the next one, meeting date, time, and location. Oh, yeah.
So you have to just ask if anyone.
Oh, is anybody opposed? Sorry. Ken. Okay.
No.
Is it?
I couldn't hear what was being said.
Yeah, yes. We were just approving the Wednesday meeting for July's.
Thank you. God, I support it. I'm not objecting.
Okay, cool. So the next thing is meeting date, time, and location. The Kahaluu Neighborhood Board, number 29, presently meets on the second Wednesday of the month, 7 p.m. at Key Project. Everybody still for it?
I want to ask Rainbow if you can step up and talk a little bit about that.
Oh, okay, so we're going to have Rainbow speak.
Aloha nui akako, everybody. My name is Rainbow Uli'i. I'm the executive director here at Key Project. First off, I'd like to thank Matt Wire for giving me a lei and a nice certificate today at Honolulu City Council meeting. That was really, very nice. And I also want to thank our neighborhood board for coming here and having your meetings here, because we know that this is a hot spot for our community. I'm from Hauula. I live in Waiahole now, and I'm a part of this community like everyone else. Out of respect to our other community users and our facility users, just like everyone else, the neighborhood board is the same. And so unfortunately, we cannot move this meeting to 102, 103 on Wednesdays, but there are opportunities to have the meetings happen on Thursdays, which is a much more available date for Key Project. And we can even, if the meeting is moved to Thursdays, we can also entertain the possibility of having it in the pavilion as well. Thursdays seem like pretty open dates for our pavilion too.
So with that, Jackson, maybe you could talk about the dates and the complications of moving to different days of the week. Thursdays, we can kind of look at the calendar. Is this on? Because of course, the calendar for all the other neighborhood board meetings. I mean, we don't want to be colliding with other neighborhood boards with whom we might be interacting, especially Ko'olau Moku and so on. And then on top of that, we want to make sure it works as far as Olelo, and there are all kinds of logistics.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you make that bigger?
No, that's the whole screen. Or,
there you go. Okay.
This is the current monthly meeting schedule for all the neighborhood boards. So you really cannot. Vincio cannot fit any other boards on the days that already have 4 boards on them.
Hmm.
So the first and second Thursdays, we could not accommodate you. We could maybe do third Thursdays. But Kaneo is there.
That's not
We
gonna
could
work.
maybe move you to fourth. That's normally why Pahu's meeting that day. I don't know if,
The fourth Thursday.
Yeah.
Is open. And
yeah,
could
that
work.
one's pretty open. Right
So-
now, we only have one board there. That week itself is actually pretty light, so.
Okay, so Rainbow, what does that look like for a key?
All Thursdays are pretty open. So
Okay.
4 Thursdays are also great.
So if I can just add one thing, Rocky, is that, I'm getting older. I don't like change, but I can probably remember Thursdays. But the advantage of being on a Thursday, as I see it, is that when we have a much, much bigger issue, and we will have bigger issues, the opportunity to shift from 102, 103 into the pavilion is a pretty important one for us. I mean, think about fire ants or you name it. So it's something to think about. I'm willing to
Thank you,
change.
Rocky. Go ahead.
On most of those, I have other organizations I belong to. That Thursday is out of the question. But I would like to make a motion that we keep it on on the second Wednesday.
Yeah. So she made a motion to keep it on Wednesday. He seconded. Yeah. And then a discussion.
We can dispense of it because maybe some of us have different clubs. For me, I have 3 different clubs that have meetings. And it's my concern too, because I really want to be a part of this board.
Okay, so are we finished with this topic yet? Present time?
Still in discussion.
Or are we discussing still?
Yeah, it should go on the agenda next meeting.
Yeah.
So that everybody can serve as an option.
Yeah.
That's true. It's also on the,
It's on tonight's agenda too.
We're missing members.
Okay.
Yeah, the chair and the vice chair are both not present at the moment. Yeah, so
Great.
maybe table it until.
I just,
Yeah.
if we keep putting this off, we're going to keep trying to operate in this really dysfunctional fashion. This is really hard to run a meeting when you can't understand people talking over, an inferior system. We don't have room enough here. If this was, last meeting, we were packed and we will be packed with future meetings. So I'm just concerned that I think we need to
So-
keep this discussion going here.
Go ahead. Well, my concern is Wednesday is the only day that I have my 2-year-old child can be watched.
By someone else.
I mean, I'm going to vote against that if we're going to put it to a
So
vote.
what else is movable at Key Project?
Well, it's important to remember that, the neighborhood board, just like anybody else who utilizes the spaces here at Key Project, are paying facility users, right? And so out of respect to other community members who are here, we also have to take into their consideration and also be respectful to them. So I can talk to Kalai. I think it would be best actually if the chair could speak to Kalai. He's the head of the facility here. He's the one who oversees it. What Kalai says goes. If he says that Thursday is the best day, Thursday is the best day. If he can squeeze you into 102, 103 on a Monday, then he might be able to do that. But Kalai is the see-all, be-all when it comes to the facilities here. He's been here much longer than I have. I trust his judgment a lot of the time. He knows the community very, very well. And so I do, a lot of the time, rely on him for making the decisions and helping me with that.
Like some of us have our calendars all written up. I have mine written up for almost 2 years now. But due to the fact this is not the only facility in our area, we can find other facilities that can accommodate us if Key Project cannot accommodate us. So I'm
On the
looking at-
Wednesday.
Yeah,
right?
on our Wednesday.
Yeah, because all of us have
Yeah.
specific
Yeah.
things going on in these days. So like, not just relying on this space can also be a discussion to have.
Yeah. Mahalo.
I'm just going to add this in because I can.
Maybe it's
Um,
simpler to just move the 6 people who are having the idea question
I think,
I came in, there were only 5 people.
and while,
They're never going to get 100 people. We could easily.
well,
Moving facility users for other facility users is nobody else's business except for key projects.
then maybe it's worth having a conversation where we invite Randall Monahan to come talk story, because think about this. We've been in COVID, and the room was empty because we couldn't meet as a larger group. And so they stepped into a void. Might they consider one Wednesday out of the 4 in the month that they're here to shift days themselves? And I think it's worth asking directly. And I
Mhm.
I respect your thought about approaching Kalai, but Kalai is not key project. Kalai is managing the facility. You're key project.
I am key project, and I'm saying that, no, you cannot move to 102, 103 on Wednesdays. Mahalo.
Understood. Okay, so
Still the motion on the floor to stay here, saying everything. We need to.
My motion was to keep on meeting for the second Wednesday.
yeah,
Only on the second one.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys still need to vote on that to decide if you're going to commit to the second.
okay. So we have a motion to vote on seconded. So now we're gonna vote on continuing every second Wednesday of the month.
That's okay. There's enough to.
There's 8, so we have quorum. Yeah.
However, this is disadvantage.
You have the ones online, they can vote too.
Yeah,
They're entitled to their votes still.
Yeah,
Still
yeah.
have to get Lavasser and Masterson. And
Yeah.
The other one, they're still here.
Yeah. So we're gonna vote on this then. Are all in favor of keeping it on the second Wednesday of every month? Ayes. Aye. That's an aye there. So that's a majority vote.
Who, I need all the other votes then. Who didn't vote aye?
Okay, you're gonna abstain. Okay.
I'm willing to.
That's Rapun abstaining. Aye. Yeah, here you go.
Okay, for my sake, I'm actually just gonna go down the list. Bender, how are you voting? Okay. Lou? Yeah, same, okay. Art Machado? Rapun, I know you're abstaining. Rick Towell? You're in favor, okay. Yeah. You're in favor? And Jared's in favor? Okay, Lavasser is in favor. Ian, how do you vote? In favor?
Aye.
And is Spencer Parker, or Parker Spencer still here?
Aye.
Okay. So, yeah, the motion passes to continue meeting on the second Wednesdays.
Ten ayes, 0 nays, 1 abstain.
What? 10 ayes.
For 2 abstentions.
Who?
The second one. Hal said aye.
He said aye. He didn't abstain. Yeah. Okay.
Question. What about Ho'okano Hall at St. John's by the Sea? Is that a possibility?
That might work. Yeah, that may work. It's a good idea.
Anytime we can start looking around.
Okay, so next on the agenda, creation of board committees and chairs. Ken, you have something?
Infrastructure committee, I'll be glad to just, same configuration, just continue it on for another year. If everybody accepts that.
So, how do you guys?
I agree. I think an infrastructure committee is essential.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so infrastructure committee, same as it's been.
I'd like to suggest another standing committee, if I may. But
Well, I was going to also suggest that this would be something that we could hold off on because the fact that the chair and vice chair are not present at the moment and they would actually have a lot of insight to put in on, so we could table it until the next meeting.
Can we at least do the infrastructure committee, show some progress because we got not negotiations, but research being done with the state and the city on Waihehe intersection and the regional park?
You want to chime in?
I mean, we haven't changed any committees. Previous committees that existed
Yeah.
still stand.
Yeah.
So I think we're okay there. Can I suggest
No
that
problem, and thank you.
sustainability
I guess
committee?
I'm acting.
If we
I'm
can,
acting chair then, huh?
Yes. Yes,
Acting
the
chair,
chair and
okay.
vice chair are not here at the moment, so I'm standing in their place.
if we could agree that little fire ants will be an item that would go with the sustainability committee, would always be on our agenda, so that we can address this because it's such an urgent issue.
Just invasives in general.
Or actually invasives in general.
Okay, so you
Because,
suggest that?
yeah, that way we don't have to put it on the agenda. It's on the agenda at every single meeting and we can address them. Is that, it's just a suggestion.
Okay, so we are going to table this until, but the suggestions are going to stay on, right? Okay.
Good idea, John.
Huh?
Now comes the fire ants.
Oh, yes, yeah. So the next agenda item is the $1,000 funding for the little fire ant test kits distributed by board members. Yeah, that's what I believe it's all about. We have to discuss and.
The $1,000 to all boards was for the boards to find some project to do that actually has money behind it in their communities themselves. I don't know which board members suggested this, but this is not a request from the city to use your funding.
That funding.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying the city.
Okay.
So that's, you would be requesting from the city some money, so that there would always be fire ant kits and sitting there, so nobody leaves the meeting.
So mail in the kits, yes, correct. Yeah, because the kits are free. Yeah. So it's just to make sure that we can get them sent in. Yes. Okay, so let's move on to the community topics. The first topic on our agenda is the Aloha State Bicycle Racing Association Dick Evan Memorial Race. We have Michelle Simmons here.
Hi, I'm Michelle Simmons. I'm here representing the Aloha State Bicycle Racing Association, and I'm announcing that the Dick Evans Memorial Road Race will be happening on Sunday, August 27th. It starts and finishes in Hawaii Kai at like 5:45 in the morning. It circumnavigates the entire island. You may see some traffic interruption through Kahaluu, or maybe around like 10 a.m. or so on that Sunday that's coming up in 2 weeks. It is a race. So what's happening is there will be a police envelope that follows just the front group of racers. So there'll be about 100 people roughly who are entered in the event. Maybe 20 of those are actually racing and everyone else is out participating and just riding it to check off the list and say, cool, I did this. For the riders who are outside the police envelope, like once they've been dropped from the front group, they are not entitled to be like running red lights, or like they need to be following all of the traffic laws. They will be riding off into the shoulder. It is only the front group that really has, we'll call it like more of a right to the road than like a normal Sunday ride. And you'll know it's the front group because there will be like at least one policeman on a motorcycle in the front and another one in the back. And then what they do is the police will like zip ahead to the next intersection. So like, I'm just explaining this because you might see it like at the Temple Valley intersection there, that's where the traffic might build up some on that Sunday. Because when the riders, again, only in the front group, are rolling through, the police will go ahead, they'll hold up the traffic so that the riders can like rip through that intersection. And then after that, if you're not in the front group, the riders will be stopping and there really shouldn't be any disruption to traffic from there. The race is permitted by the city and county of Honolulu, and we have insurance through USA Cycling. And I'm happy to take any questions or listen to your concerns.
So I know the Ray answered the issue for this board for 25 years. Are you going to do it along the highway?
It stays on Kahakili.
Go ahead.
So if it's on Kaikili, you're going to have police escorts front and back coming down Kaikili. That sounds safe. What about those who are not in the running? They're going to continue riding, right?
Yes.
And Kahikili is totally unsafe without police escort. There's no place for them to ride.
There's a shoulder. I'm a cyclist here. So like I live in Kaneohe. I've been riding here for 19 years. I ride through your neighborhood all the time. So thank you for your kuka as I'm riding through here. We ride in the shoulder. It is narrower, like since they expanded and took away a lane, like we used to have a giant shoulder there and now we just have a minor one. So the riders will be riding single file.
Yeah.
And in that, and it is in.
I can tell you it's not safe. I've lived here for 60 years, 70 years now, and the shoulder has pretty well disappeared. And all it takes is somebody sipping a cup of coffee from Starbucks and getting on their phone, texting somebody. It's very, very dangerous, very dangerous. And so we're going to end up with a situation where who's liable for that? Who's liable for an accident that happens to riders who are not inside the envelope?
If it's during the race, we have insurance through USA Cycling, which is a national governing board that it permits races like this going on all around the country. And we do have insurance through them. So that's where the cyclists would go. I mean, this happens every Sunday, every Saturday, riders are riding at their own risk in the race.
Because of this race coming up, you have riders out there already now that are practicing, right? So the impact of this race is not just during the race. The impact of this race is you're encouraging bicyclists to be on that highway for a couple of months ahead of time, at least. I've been seeing bicyclists quite a bit lately. And in the past, I've known, White Bicycling League's Century Ride is coming up. It's not a race. And it's got incredible support systems and aid stations and all of this. But this is really adding to what already is a pretty dangerous highway. If an ambulance comes flying up behind you and you're on Kaikili, an experienced driver might know what to do and might know that, I've only got one lane on this side and there are 2 lanes on the other side, the contraflow, but there's no place to pull off. So what happens if you're coming back on Kaikili from Kaneohe on a Sunday and you've only got the 1 lane maybe to work or going the other way? Where do you pull off? Where do you pull off to make room for the ambulance? Or does the ambulance have to plow through all of the bollards that are laid out there? It's a very dangerous section of highway.
I don't have an answer for you there.
It's changed radically.
I don't have an answer for you there. I can just tell you that riders ride that section, me included, regularly at our own risk. Yes. And so we thank you for looking out for the cyclists, because we do have, it is a public road and we do have a right to be riding on the public road. So I thank you for your patience as you allow the cyclists to continue doing what we're doing as safely as
Okay.
we are trying to do it.
We have another question here.
Oh, actually, I just had a aloha, Michelle. It's so nice to see you again. I can't believe an entire year has passed. I'm like, I remember you. My mana'o is just to share with your cyclists that are not in that envelope, the police envelope, is that when you reach upon, at least for me, I know Hokuloa area, Ohuimanu area, we have a lot of those kind of hikers that walk directly on the road. They walk directly on the shoulder area. I don't like that they do that. We haven't been able to manage that or get control over that situation yet, but just to let your cyclists know that if they're not in that envelope, that they could be, riding into areas where there's multiple families walking in that shoulder area, which is where a lot of cyclists will be cycling on Kahikili.
You mean like where the hiking is on the McDonald's side?
Yes.
That Pu'uma
We
Eli
don't
Eli
ride
Trail?
on that side. This is a one-way around,
Oh,
and we
okay.
will only be in Malka.
Okay, I got you. Thank you. Yeah, because that area is like, there's been no management since. So yeah.
Sure. I mean, I am on the race director committee for the Dick Evans Road Race. So if there's anything that you want us to make sure that we are including, like in the rider packet, things, announcements, and that kind of thing, like it is part of my responsibility to be communicating that information.
I think just making sure what Uncle John was saying, just let your riders know in this area, once they hit Kahikili, just make them aware of the dangers that they could be facing in that area. And I think that would be as much as you can do. So thank you for your time, Michelle.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Michelle, you're going clockwise.
One more thing. I am also in charge of the aid station there at Temple Valley. So in case anybody wants to volunteer or you guys have
Michelle,
some Marines that want to pop out.
One more question.
It's not a question.
Or one more comment.
It's a statement. Hello.
Okay, let's get this.
I would like to thank you folks for not using Kamehameha Highway as your route, because what irritates our community the most is to see like 3 to 4 bicyclists going on the road at the same time, especially on the bridge, especially on a weekend when there's a whole lot of traffic going to the only commercial harbor
That'd be
on the
a
windward side of
much
the
more
island.
dangerous path.
It's much more dangerous.
Yeah.
So thank you for not using that path.
Thank you,
Mahalo.
Michelle. Okay, so next on the agenda, draft environmental assessment on behalf of Hawaii Housing, Finance, and Development Corporation in support of the Waihole Valley Water Systems Improvement Project. Julia Ham Tashima, Planning Solutions, Inc. But you are here.
Yes, Jim Hayes
Jim
with Planning
Hayes.
Solutions. Julia contacted the board and set up this presentation, but I have a presentation. I can share my screen and put it up here, or I don't know what the right protocol is. Is sharing my screen the right thing to do? But I'm online here as Jim Hayes.
There he is.
You share the screen now.
Okay, so. No, separate topic. I let him know this is one different topic.
Hopefully it'll be coming up. It said I was sharing. Is it coming through? As that goes through the process, I have a copy of the environmental assessment.
Here it is. You're up.
I'll give that to you as chair.
You're up and running, Jim.
Okay, so this is the assessment, environmental assessment draft.
There it is.
It's here now. But one thing that I wanted to just bring up, I know that there's a date attached to the comments that you guys have, that you guys expect comments to be turned in by August 22nd. This was just put in our hands just now, and we were supposed to be able to get to it at our Kaneohe library, but none of us were able to. So I just want to request that we push back that final date of comments to at least, even if not our next meeting, after our next meeting, because this is a lot of literature for any of us to have to go through. And just, yeah, we're requesting that August 22nd date for comments be pushed back. We need more time for the community to be able to get to this information. So
I can relay that. I also brought with me a handout. If anyone would like a handout, it has a synopsis, sort of an executive summary on the front, and then a map on the back. That'll be right over here. And I also have a comment form. This comment form provides space and information about how to comment on the document. You can pick one of these up. It has my address down here on the bottom of it. So you'll be able to send your comments. There.
we have one more question before you begin your presentation. Sorry.
Okay.
I just want to ask that you have a synopsis there. How many pages is your synopsis of this right here? Because this is a lot to digest of something I just know about now.
It's just one page.
So one
It's just
page
a one-page
synopsis of
handout.
this?
It's just an information sheet. I wouldn't say it summarizes the entire document, obviously, but it provides information about the project.
Okay. Please go ahead and start your presentation.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Go. I don't know what the lag will be here, but I've been assisting HHFDC with the planning for the water system improvements. I'm here to talk to you today about the environmental assessment process and the document. So the environmental assessment started with what we call scoping, and that happened in November of last year. And we contacted this board, among other government agencies and groups, to seek input. We did receive a response from this board, and we thank you very much for that. In the environmental assessment, which became available July 23rd, we addressed the input that we received during the scoping process. And then, like someone already mentioned, the draft EA review time ends on August 22nd. And then we'll start preparing the final environmental assessment. And we anticipate having that available to the public in October. So how to get a copy of the EA. And it was announced in the environmental notice, which many of you are probably familiar with. It's taking a while for the computer to catch up here. But you can go, it should be, we sent a hard copy of this entire document to the Kaneohe Public Library. So I know they have a copy of it. I don't know what.
No, there was multiple board members who went to go and look at it, and it was not available.
Yeah, they must have put it somewhere that the people you talk to don't know about, because we did send it to them. But we can look into that and see what the
That's why
situation
we
is.
made the request to push back the date from August 22nd, because multiple members actually asked for this specific document that looks like it was printed in July, but wasn't available to any of them. So that's why I brought up that concern, and I'm asking you to push back that timetable, because just because you sent it there doesn't necessarily mean that it was available. And that's the whole key issue that everybody will have, is the fact of its availability, not when it was sent. Like,
Okay, it's also available at the State Library, and it's also available at a couple places online. It's available at, like I said earlier, the environmental notice website, as well as HHFDC's website.
how available was that information to the public to know where all of these things were? Like, the community at large, were they notified of these other places that where this document was made available? Like, was there any outreach to the community in the surrounding area of this project?
There were
to tell
notices
them-
sent to every address in Waiahole Valley with information about where to obtain this document. and how to download it. So yes, there has been substantial outreach to the community, and we had a meeting with the community in Waiahole last week. So that's ongoing. People are, as far as we know, able to access the document. So this is the first time we've heard anyone mention that it was not available at the Kaneohe Library. I apologize for that, but we did send it to them.
Are you familiar with the demographics of the people in the
Yes.
Okay, so you're also familiar with the fact that a lot of them might not have access to technology or downloading capabilities and would need paper.
Yes, and we did send them a letter with our phone number on it.
Thank you, Rocky.
Kalamai, I'd like to apologize to both you and the Waiahole committee that I will be voting against this because I don't know much about it, and I don't think it's fair to the rest of us if it was not me, you telling us it was at the library, and it was at the library. This is a lot to digest, and to digest that into one page of synopsis, I don't think it would be the right way to do it, and I think we need a little bit more time. I agree with the chair that we need more time with this, and so I will be voting against it. I don't know what the rest of the board, and I'm sorry to say that about Waiahole, to Waiahole people too. Mahalo.
Well, is it okay if I continue with the presentation?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, and then.
So in the draft environmental assessment, you'll find a wide range of topics. Obviously, in section 1.2, we talk about the purpose and need of the project. So HHFDC seeks to improve the water system so that it reliably and cost effectively provides potable water to the customers in the valley and provides a safe working environment for those tasked with building, operating, and maintaining the system. The purpose of this project is consistent with achieving the water system related goals in the Valley's strategic plan. The project is needed because the existing system is becoming long in the tooth. It's unreliable, difficult to access and maintain, and some of the facilities have reached the end of their design life. So looking at the alternatives, we have a list of the alternatives here. We considered alternatives for different water sources, including the tunnel alternative that this board encouraged HHFDC to consider. And we also looked at different water distribution system alternatives, including a BWS compliant system and a private system. So a complete alternative requires one of the water source alternatives and one of the water distribution system alternatives to form a complete improvement alternative. So with the alternatives identified, we set about screening the alternatives. And this is just a summary of the screening outcome. And it's detailed in section 2.5 of the draft EA. And this slide is about screening the two water source alternatives, the tunnel alternative here, and the wells alternative on the right-hand column. So the criteria, being the rows in this table, are based on the purpose and need of the project, which I just discussed, as well as the likelihood of these alternatives resulting in an adverse environmental effect. So as this shows, the well alternative scored much better than the tunnel alternative. And this is primarily due to the wells being sited at a location that is easy to access and is in the agricultural district near the customers of the water system. So based on that screening, HHFDC considered that the well alternative would be the preferred alternative for the water source. Then we looked at the distribution alternatives, and this is a slide looking at how those scored in our screening criteria. And the BWS alternative scored better, but not substantially better than the private system alternative. The main reason the BWS alternative scores better is that first, it fully addresses the purpose and need, and that purpose and need includes complying with Act 195 that encourages the state to transfer the system to the Board of Water Supply. And second, the system that it would comply with the BWS standards would be entirely new and more reliable.
Can I interrupt? Act 195 is based on a resolution that was passed.
It's a
by
concurrent resolution of the legislature, yes.
And that became an act.
Just for convenience, we called it an act.
It's not an act, though. It's
Okay.
just a resolution.
Okay, resolution 195. Taking a little time here, but the next slide should come up shortly. So based on the screening, HHFDC identified the new wells and a BWS system as their preferred alternative. And I don't know why this one's taking so long, but we should have a map that shows the preferred alternative. But it involves improvements. So 2 new wells and a tank on lot 50. Sorry, I don't know why it's taking so long now. It's up on my computer.
It's on, it's in the, online. It's on mine. It's online.
Okay, online, okay. It's not coming up on the screen here, so I apologize for that. But 2 new wells, and a tank on lot 50, which is at the end of the North Branch Road in Waihole Valley. And there would be new pipelines throughout the valley. All customers would get new meters, backflow preventers, and shutoff valves. HHFDC would then turn over the system to the Board of Water Supply to maintain and operate, and the customers would become BWS customers.
Maybe if you went back and went forward again.
All right, well, I just went to the next slide. We'll see what happens. But chapters 3 and 4 of the draft environmental assessment cover subjects. Oops. Anyway, chapters 3 and 4 cover the standard subjects that you see in environmental assessments, including water resources, historic resources, biological resources, and those kind of things. There should be a list coming up on the screen. Maybe it is for those at home. Okay, great. Yep. So we got the list here, traffic, those kind of things. And technical studies and community outreach were conducted to inform the assessments of the potential impacts of the project. The assessment concluded that the proposed project would not have a significant adverse effect on the environment, and also concluded that the proposed project would be consistent with applicable land use plans, policies, and controls. So as with any project, there will be some impacts, such as temporary lane closures and ground disturbance, but those impacts will be less than significant. So that's the end of my presentation. I want to thank you for the opportunity to provide the presentation, and we're available for questions.
John, go ahead. And Rick.
Okay, there is a lot to digest in this. And we've known as a community, even as a neighborhood board, that this is something that HHFDC has been contemplating for quite some time. I want to ask you, so I've got a series of questions. I'm going to have to go through this, yeah? This is going to involve moving the wells from where they are 1.3 miles up off the end of the South Fork, back inside the conservation area, all the way around to the North Fork, to a property that's closer, as you say, to the rest of the delivery points. In your estimation, what's the primary reason for that shift from that source to a new source? And I'm going to have a few questions for you, but what's the primary reason for shifting? Is it the inconvenience of getting to those well sites? What's your answer to that?
The primary reason relates to reliability of the potable water system. So there are 2 existing wells, as you mentioned, and I was trying to get the map back up here.
Yeah.
But there are 2 existing wells that were installed in the 80s.
Right.
And they are difficult to access. And the road that you're using to access them can wash out, have fallen trees. The power lines that serve the pumps in those wells can be taken out of service by high winds and falling trees and that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
So the interest is to improve reliability, improve access.
Okay.
The equipment that's back there currently is near the end of its design life.
Okay.
And so rather than replace all that equipment and continue to operate a system that is not as reliable as people would like it to be,
okay,
the preferred approach is to drill new wells
Mhm.
and install a system that increases the reliability without
Okay.
any loss in
Gotcha.
production and
Okay, let me
delivery
shift.
of water.
Let me shift gears on you. So let's say that that system, reliable or unreliable, is operating. What's wrong with the pipes? What's wrong with the delivery system within the lots that HHFTC has, the ag and residential lots? Is there a problem with the lines that are in the road?
I wouldn't say that there's a ongoing problem with those pipes,
Okay.
but they do not comply with the Board of Water Supply standards. And if the system is
how-
going to be turned over to the Board of Water Supply, which is the mandate from the legislatures,
Okay.
then we would have to put in new pipes that do comply with the Board of Water Supply standards, or the Board of Water Supply will not accept the system.
Okay, again, it's not so much of a mandate. It was a resolution they went through, but that's about it. And what's the Board of Water Supply want? Do they want this system? Because they did a feasibility study themselves and then walked away from it. They didn't want to take it on. And how does the delivery system not comply? What does that mean? With the Board of Water Supply
Well,
standards?
I can't speak for the Board of Water Supply, but we are in coordination with the Board of Water Supply, and we're working with them to identify the improvements that are needed
Okay.
in order for them to be willing to accept the system.
Okay, fair
but
enough.
I'm
So-
not a decision maker.
In the EAA, does the Board of Water Supply comment on this?
Yes.
Okay, because that's the kind of stuff that we really got to sink our teeth into, and that's why we want to have more time to do that. So I'm going to just jump to that question. Who gets to decide yea or nay to extending the deadline for comments? Is that you folks, Planning Solutions, or is it HHFTC, or is it OEQC, or whatever their successor has been?
I know it's not me. I would have to look into the answer for that question.
Okay, because that's really an important thing. This is, and what would be the overall, what will be the overall estimated cost for this shift, this new system?
The overall, it's in the environmental assessment in chapter 2.
Okay, what is it?
I'd have to look it up, but it's in the $25 million range.
25 million, okay. What did they spend on fix? So in March of, is it 2020? Wait, hang on one second here. I mean, in just a couple of few years back, let me just look here. Yeah, in March of 2021, the river jumped its banks, which is pretty incredible, way up Mauka, where the existing wells are, the existing pumps, and came crashing down through the pump station. And I mean, with boulders the size of a Toyota. I've got pictures here for you because I've been up there and very familiar with it. Excavators came in, a lot of work went into it, probably $2 or $3 million went into fixing up that whole pump station. Amazingly, the pump still worked. So quite a bit of money got expended to repair that pump station, rebuild the road from the last bridge that the river goes under, and get up there. Some of us kept asking a question, why did the river jump the banks? Nobody ever answered the question. HHFTC's attitude is, oh, it's not our land, it's not our kuleana. But the river jumped its bank, which is a really big jump, way up Mauka. But anyway, they fixed the system, and it's back up and operating. And I bring that up because we've got an operating system. The biggest problem, and I know this firsthand, I'm a tenant resident, my brothers and I. Our takeoff from the system is above the existing million-gallon reservoir. And so when the power goes out to those pumps, we have no water. We're the canary in the coal mine. and I call Dunwood Engineering, and Dunwood Engineering calls Hawaiian Electric, and Hawaiian Electric flies the line to see what's going on. Where is the power coming from that powers those pumps? Do you know?
Well, it's coming from Hawaiian Electric.
It's coming from Kahaluu.
Right. It's
In
going
the-
over the ridge.
in the air.
Right. Yes.
And so some of us have been saying, why not run power up the road? Or
I'm sorry, sir. I'm not here to talk about the
I
existing system.
understand, but
I'm
what-
here to
what
talk
I'm
about
try-
the environmental assessment.
what I'm trying to get at is why this is so important. There's an existing system, and I think in your EA, you need to itemize what the various costs are. You say that the pumps are at their end of their useful
Service life,
life.
yes.
So what's the exact cost of replacing the pumps in place? There's supposed to be a backup generator. The biggest cost to HHFDC is the constant power outages from the power coming from Hiram Fong's plantation all the way across Waiahole. One Albija comes down on top of it, they got to send in, they got helicopters, they bring aspirin, they got to cut trees, and then they restore the power and everything's working fine. And so, I mean, itemizing all the costs is going to be really, really important, because maybe we're talking a handful of millions, not 25 million for another system. And if we want to be as sustainable as possible, let's talk about where the electricity can come from. Every day, water flows from Kahana all the way through to Waiahole, and then the allocation kicks in. Which side of the island gets the water? Whether it goes to Waiava or it comes down the streams. There's hydroelectric power potential in that ditch tunnel, and Hawaiian Electric has done a study. Have you been in touch with Hawaiian Electric about that study that they did about the potential for hydroelectric generation in the tunnel? Is that included in the EA? The
purpose and need of this project is to provide potable water to the residents of the valley, is not to provide electricity. We did send the environmental assessment to Hawaiian Electric for their review. They have not responded at this time, but
Okay, so I'm telling you that Hawaiian Electric did a pretty
I'm familiar with it.
pretty high level study. The state hasn't seen that study, by the way, so I don't know how you're familiar with it.
I don't need to say. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're familiar with it, is that study included in the EA?
No, because the purpose and need of this project
Is not
about
just
providing
it's
potable
not just to
water.
provide potable water; it's to do it at an affordable price.
So the questions he's asking is why I requested in the beginning of before your presentation started, to extend the time for the community to ask the right questions to the right people based off of the information that you have provided.
And I encourage everybody to
And
take
so-
a comment form and
Yeah.
provide their comments.
So the best solution that you could provide for them at the moment, I believe, is pointing them in the direction of the person they have to request more time from. Would be like the easiest answer for everybody here, and the hundreds of questions that this novel is going to raise. Like, if you have just that one person that they can contact directly and ask, can we get more time so that we can read through this literature and digest the information so that we understand what you guys are actually trying to do here, and if this is the best solution. Like, the 22nd is 2 weeks from now. There's not enough time. Is the concern that is being raised by everybody that saw the presentation, that's looking at this. So the best answer you could give at this moment would be to just point them in the direction of the person they can request more time from.
I'm really old school.
Yeah, because
if
they're
I
going to
have-
keep asking you questions.
If I have a hard copy on my table at home, I'm going to chew on it over a bunch of cups of coffee and quite a few beers over quite a bit of time, and I'm going to scribble in the margins. I'm going to highlight. That's how I'm going to form my comments. That's how we work. So when I say I'm old school, just a hop, skip, and a jump ago in time. If you requested to be a consulted party for an EIS or an EA, you could get a copy. How much does it cost to print one of these things?
$125.
Okay, so what? Is that not budgeted for?
No,
That's
it's
peanuts.
not.
That's
It is not
peanuts.
standard practice to provide written copies except at the library. And
But
I
it's not at the-
apologize if
but it's
that's
not at the
practice,
library.
but we did inform the people of the community. We provided our phone number for people to reach us. We've talked to a few people, but no one had told us until just this moment that the copy was not available at the library.
$125 for, are you talking color or black and white? Bound or unbound?
Like that there.
Yeah,
Okay,
this
so-
book right here costs
so-
$125 to create.
Is there, are there color pictures in there?
Yes.
There
Well,
are
then
some,
take out the
yes.
color pictures. Give us the narrative. We can look at maps.
But the point being that she stated is you're talking about kupuna. Like that whole entire area is majority kupuna. It's not the young, it's not people like me, not people that are younger and are tech savvy and even have internet. And that's the only place that they were available to this.
Well, and that's why we invited all those people to a meeting last week, and people. Okay, but people did attend that meeting, and no one raised a concern about a hard copy. No one raised a concern about access to the document until just tonight.
I just think
So-
that they didn't know. That's why. Like you sent the literature out, but they just didn't know. Like I said, they're kupuna. That's why.
Okay.
Like that's my
Again, I
concern.
encourage people to write their comment. I can take
Yeah.
that question back to HHFTC, and I can respond to your board as soon as possible.
Yeah, Auntie Rocky, you have something to say?
Yeah, I have a lot to say, but I'm going to try and cut it short and summarize it. But who's benefiting from this digging of the wells? Another thing, your EA, I see you did all of your studies on your EA. Did you do the cultural component of that one? Because you said that it was a mandated by the legislature, but it was a resolution, not a bill, so it's not a law. And another thing is that, are you complying with the Kapa'akai ruling? Because the Kapa'akai ruling is you have to just consult with the Native Hawaiian practitioners from that area there. And when you're digging up a new well, you're disturbing the grounds.
Yeah.
So I wanna know more about this before I'm gonna make any decision. Mahalo.
Okay, the beneficiaries of the project are the people of the Valley of Waihole, because they will have a new water source that is more reliable. So those are the beneficiaries of the project. HHFTC is not in the water business, and maybe the word mandate is not the correct one, but it was certainly a message from the legislature that the HHFTC should transfer the water system to an agency that specializes in providing potable water to their customers, and that is the Board of Water Supply. So that is why that alternative is preferred and identified as such. Related to your comment about cultural impact assessment and Kapa'akai analysis, we did do that. There's a substantial portion of that document are those reports. So I think you'll find if you look at the document, it's easy to read. You'll have the things that you're interested in, and you can go to those sections, just look in the table of contents and find the parts of the document that you're most interested in and review them and provide your comments to us. I don't think it'll take that long to do that. We publish these kind of documents throughout the state on a regular basis, and we do have 30 days time for people to review and comment on them. And when the fact like this, where the project does not have a significant impact on the environment, and I want to address the cost issue a little bit, that the costs of installing the system are borne by HHFDC. They're not going to trickle down to the ratepayers of the water system.
Wait,
So that $25 million,
Jim.
they pay for that, and then it's passed off to Board of Water Supply.
Jim, we are in the middle of lease rent renegotiation for Waiahole, and there is no question. And I see Yvonne from HHFTC is online here too, listening, and there's no question, there has been no question that the water system costs have been a huge cost for HHFTC. We don't, we want HHFTC to succeed in what they're doing. We want them to keep their costs down, but we think that doing that can be done in a different way. So when you talk about the environmental impacts, part of the environment is us, right? We are that environment. We want to succeed in farming. We want to succeed by being able to continue at reasonable rates for agricultural lands and so on. But the cost of this water system has been unloaded onto us year after year. There are many other things that we want to see HHFTC paying attention to. the watershed that's being overrun by albizia, that's being overrun by feral pigs, that's being threatened potentially by little fire ants, who knows, right? The challenges ahead are huge. So we want to see HHFDC conserve their costs. I'm not opposed to Board of Water Supply eventually taking this system over. That will spread out cost over far more customers, maybe make it more affordable for us, possibly. Provided there's a firewall where Board of Water Supply doesn't take this water and divert it to other watersheds, which has always been an issue. We want any extra water to be in the streams and going back into the estuary. So this is a complex project. You guys have done a lot of work. To do honor to your work, how about you ask HHFTC or whoever the powers may be to extend the time so we can take a little more time and comment with real knowledge of what you've put your heart into and work into.
We had a meeting there last week, but we have not received comments from them yet.
Really bad timing, I think.
Sir, I just feel like we're getting the middle finger on. I got to be quite honest with you, because why was this page not sent over to the neighborhood commission office 2 weeks ago, and then at least all of us could know that, hey, this is coming up. We can go do the research, and maybe we would have had time. But you sit there and say the thing went to the library, but you didn't follow up if the thing was available at the front desk. I mean, it irritates me. I'm a busy guy. I work 24/7. How can I go look at something? I'm not down sitting on the bench in front of the library waiting for you to show up with your document. It's ridiculous. And what happens is we're a very, very caring bunch over here, and we want it to happen. We want these things to happen the right way. You're talking about spending $44 million on a project when we get these massive storms, and they're going to get worse, and it disrupts. We've had NRCS people come down, look at the stream, and they shrug their shoulders and say, too bad. So in that sense, we want, when the state, city, others are going to come in and do a project, we want it done properly. Okay? So at least give us that. Now I want to ask you a specific question. What kind of material are the distribution pipes made of? What do you plan to use for that?
Let me address the first question. We did send a notice of the.
I heard all of that. I'm not interested.
We sent
in
it to the neighborhood
You could have
board.
sent this 2 weeks ago and we would have been fine. I'm not interested in arguing
All right.
about that. Okay?
Sorry. I do not know the material of the pipelines. If you want to know, we can look it up. But
Well, you should know, or should be in the documents. Did
has no
you
effect
know
on
that
the impact
Haitsuka
of the
Brothers was
project.
the contractor that put all that infrastructure for that roadways and everything for that park? And they use coral material as the base. And I personally, our company replaced several of the laterals that were made out of copper. And it looked like a shiny penny when we dug it up. And it's because of the salt in the coral material that deteriorated the line. So if you're going to go ahead and make this distribution system, bring it all in again, and you're going to use copper pipes, and somebody's going to be digging up the road and changing the copper pipes for the same reason.
I'm sure it's not copper pipes, sir. Like I've said, it would be a Board of Water Supply compliant system, and that system would be tolerant of the elements in the environment.
Mahalo. I just want to share, I saw photos in black and white from the 1920s. And Waihole at one time had 4 waterfalls running full time, 24/7 every day. We have songs that honor Kumakakai Ikenaya Hiilave. We don't have songs for Waihole, unfortunately, that we as a generation sing anymore, because our waters have been tapped and tapped and tapped. And where do we see them? Not only do we have a water park, we get one surf wave park, and there's another one coming. So we are very vigilant in wanting to know where the hell are water going. Sorry, I know, Mr. Hayes, you have a nice face and you speak very, very nice. But honestly, we just like to know, why $25 million? Why now? I mean, one day, no more money, but then the next day, oh, get raised. And then the next day this, the next day that. actually, uncle, I'm with you. How come we only getting this information right now? But all of a sudden there's $25 million to, for us, we think, oh, another water diversion. So there's a history of water diversion here, especially in Ko'olaupoco. Why? Because we get the most water on this island. And when you look at this, all I see is, okay, water diversion, water diversion. That's all I'm seeing right now. But I'm going to do my due diligence and read this, but it is going to take me, it's going to take me some time, as it is all of us. So that's the mana all of it. Cultural impacts should include some kind of mele, some kind of chant, some kind of something that shows, yeah, I see all previous ground disturbances, previous this, previous that. There's been many disturbances when it comes to our vai, our kana vai, which means law, our vai vai, which means wealth of the land. And I don't see any Olelo Hawaii in here at all. And so the next time something like this comes through, it needs to include language that is of our people and of this land. Mahalo.
Yes, thank you. There is no water diversion related to this project. The existing wells are pumping water in the south branch area in the back of the valley. Those wells would be decommissioned and the new wells installed. And the new wells would only pump as much water as the existing wells are pumping. So there's actually no change in the amount of water that's, we're not pumping more water than we're pumping now because of this project. We're just moving the wells from their current site, or not moving the wells, but we're putting in new wells at this new site that will be more easily accessed and more reliable to the community. But there's no diversion, there's no additional water removal or extraction. So in that regard, I hope you don't have anything to worry about. There's a large appendix in there for the cultural impact assessment and the archaeological review that does address the Olelo and the Mo'olelo of the Ahupua'a and the community input that we received.
So the very fact that you're considering that the plan is to eventually turn this over to the Board of Water Supply, does it come hand in hand with a guarantee that the Board of Water Supply will not use this to divert water out of the valley? Because if Board of Water Supply takes this over, is there a firewall between the valley system, what's serving the valley, and the Board of Water Supply system, which runs by on Kamehameha Highway, which it does? And, we've heard the Board of Water Supply say in the past that, no, they're not going to be taking water. But the heads of Board of Water Supplies can change. Yeah. So this claim that it's not going to divert water, just turning it over to the Board of Water Supply that has an island-wide system, while that may be really advantageous for an emergency, for example, that kind of guarantee has to be built in. It has the potential of being a diversion from our watershed out. And that's what we have battled for years. I mean, Waihole, 125 years of water being diverted from Waihole to the leeward side. It killed agriculture. It killed taro farming practically. Yeah, killed the estuary in Kaneohe Bay. You say that the road, the 1.3 miles beyond the watershed gate, I go through that gate every day, all the way up to where the tunnel is, right, and to where the pumps are and so on, is inconvenient. So well, it's too bad. It's a humbug, yeah, for keeping up that road. Who else uses that road? Agribusiness Development Corporation uses that road to maintain the ditch tunnel system. Everybody who tends to the watershed, Division of Forestry and Wildlife, folks looking at the Ko'olau Mountain Watershed Partnership. So is the road, I mean, HHFDC may not be interested in maintaining that road, but it already exists. It can be improved. Oahu Sugar, Waihole Irrigation Company, the subset of Oahu Sugar, maintained that road pretty well. They know where all of the drainages are, where all of the diversions need to be in order to maintain that road. They maintain the trees along the road. By abandoning that maintenance, HHFTC is basically pitching all of that cost, all of that humbug over onto other agencies. Whereas everybody could come together and we could fix that road. That road's not difficult to fix. It's not difficult at all. Instead of having asphalt, milled asphalt going to every Tom, Dick, and Harry who wants some asphalt to pave over farmland, take it up there. Work out an arrangement with DOT to do that. You know, that whole system doesn't just serve HHFDC. It serves the HHL lots in Waiahole. It serves Waiahole School. It serves a whole bunch of private residences. It may end up serving Paul Zwang's 1,400 acre lot where he wants to build a house. You know, I don't know. The HHFDC is trying to bring this down to all happening, taking on the full responsibility of providing water onto themselves instead of looking further to collaborate with others. And maybe just replacing the pumps and fixing the road and bringing the power from the tunnel with a hydroelectric power to power those pumps, which is like, you know, a matter of a few hundred feet instead of bringing it all the way from Ka'alaya. I think we need more time to look at this.
Ken, you had something to say?
Yeah, my big concern is you're doubling the number of wells in the area, which means you can have an operation going, then you double it, and you say, well, they're decommissioning the original wells. Unless they're dynamited, okay, what you're saying, yeah, now, what about the future? What about 10, 20 years in the future? Are those wells going to be rejuvenated and used to take water from Windward Oahu to Leeward Oahu again? Is another method going to be installed? You know, there's a problem. You're doubling the number of wells instead
No,
of...
we're not actually doubling the number of wells. The old wells would be decommissioned and the new wells would be installed. So there would only be 2 wells. And it's also important to...
No, I'm sorry. You're wrong. You're wrong. Decommissioned merely means taken offline.
No, in this case, they would be,
preserved.
drilled out and filled with concrete. And that's the method of decommissioning a well. And the decommissioning would be done in compliance with Department of Health and DLNR guidelines with closing and decommissioning a well. So, and related to diverting water and having more wells and those kind of things, the current wells have they're pumped at a certain rate to provide water to the customers, right? We know what that rate is. There are meters on those wells. Okay, so we know how much water is removed with those wells now. The new wells will be removing the same amount of water. They will be permitted to not, there won't be a permit to take more water than what is currently taken, right? So it's not like someone, if the Board of Water Supply or some other entity starts operating that system, they can't just like all of a sudden turn some switch and start taking more water out of Waiahole Valley. All right, the permit will be restricted to pumping the amount of water that's pumped now. And that serves the valley, okay? The system is the system, but there won't be more water diverted. And related to maintaining the road, yeah, the HHFDC wants to get out of the maintaining that road. It's not their business to maintain that road. It's ADC's business to maintain that road. And the cost of maintaining that road should be borne by the people that are benefiting from the water that is diverted, right? It should not be borne by the community that is using this water system.
Okay, I'd like to say, wait, I want to respond, if I can respond here. Okay, you are only saying there are no plans, okay, to rejuvenate, to revive, to drill out the concrete and recommission. It's easier to use an existing well, okay, that 200, 300 feet deep. Okay, you're going to fill up concrete the first 50 feet maybe. Drill through that side access. The rest of it is still there. I have no idea how it works, but you're saying there's no plans. Okay, now we've been doing this for what, 50 years, 30, 50 years? What happens? plans change. Okay, so I'm suspect right off the bat, you're doubling the number of wells. Okay, and I just can't get over that. It's now maybe that's my problem, but I'm sorry. Thank you.
We encourage you to submit comments, and when those will be addressed in the final environmental assessment.
So, like, sorry, Antiraki. That's why it's all gonna keep going in this circle. That's why we're requesting more time. Like, you guys can talk about this all night, but like, it's not going anywhere. So like, that's why, like, the bottom line is, if you can't take care of that, all we're requesting is the name and number of the person we can call and make that request to. It's like, it's a very simple solution, just so that we can get to that point. Like, he can't answer all of our questions. Yeah, so Yvonne, yeah, if you can point us in the direction of the person that we make that request to, because like I said in the beginning when I made the request, this is too much literature to digest and like actually understand in the amount of time that everyone's being given. Like John said, he wants something good to work, but we don't know what it is. So like, that's the best solution, because we'll sit here all night and we'll continue talking about this and going in circles back and forth and back and forth. And we're not going to get through it like this. What we need is more time. That's all we're asking for.
Well, I would suggest that we're not going in
So I'm
circles.
calling for the vote now.
Can I say something?
Or-
I saw in the book that you did look into the Kapa'akai ruling. So as looking into the Kapa'akai ruling, as a Native Hawaiian practitioner, I feel that you are going against that, and I would like to call for a vote, because it does have a big cultural significance in what you're going to do. To dig up new wells when there's already wells there, to just go, it's affecting the groundwork, and I would like to make a motion that we vote against this.
So I was going to make a motion for us to request more time to digest this information. That's the motion that we're making, because we're not voting against this at the moment. What we're doing is we're trying to gain more time to actually understand what's going on based on this. So I'm making a motion for the board to request more time to get this information understood.
More than a month.
Can I add something?
So,
okay,
go ahead.
A friendly amendment, and if they don't grant the time, we have a no vote.
I think we need to do what you're suggesting, Chair, to ask for an extension of time for comments that will take us beyond the next neighborhood board meeting.
Yeah.
And we should ask that of Planning Solutions.
So that's my motion.
And also of
To
HHFDC.
vote on whether or not we're going to ask them for more time, and hopefully be granted that time so that we can properly understand the information that they provided in this EA. Seconded then.
Second.
All. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go down the line again for votes, starting at the top. Ian Masterson.
Wait. Was my friendly amendment accepted or not? If we're not granted the time, then our vote is no.
This is a vote to request more time for comments.
This is our last, if there is not a granting of time, this is our last chance to vote. So if they don't grant the time, then our default is a no vote.
Okay, well, the motion before the board is to ask for more time for comments on this. And there is 8 minutes left in the meeting. If it's okay, I'm going to go to the vote to request more time. Starting at the top, Ian Masterson.
I'd like to request more time.
Okay, John Rapoon. Clifford Liu. She's not here. Rick Towell.
Yes, more time, please.
Rocky Kaluhiva, Art Machado, Jarrett, Ken,
Aye.
Parker Spencer,
Aye.
Dan Bender.
Yes, we're talking.
Okay, Milani Makainai? Sorry. Okay, that passes unanimously 11-0-0.
I'd like to have us put up the resolution that I brought, if we could. Jackson has that to take a look at. Happy to read it
Does
through.
anyone else, would anyone else like, did everybody get copies of this? Anyone else?
We'll take them.
We'll take them, yeah.
You want all of them?
All $174 worth, yeah, thank you.
These are the handouts, not the document. And the comment form, yes.
Yeah, yeah, the comment forms for sure, thanks. We're not going to shoot the messenger, by the way.
Yeah, don't worry,
You're safe, you're good.
Oh, no, I'm comfortable. I just want to try to answer your questions.
Yeah. And you know, you got to understand too, this 30-day thing, neighborhood boards meet once a month.
I've
So,
been
you
on the
know,
neighborhood board myself.
Yeah, so I mean, how crazy is that, right? So we hope that you'll take this back to HHFDC and say, you know
I will
what?
talk to them, yes.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so
That
this
would be
is Uncle
appreciated.
John's resolution.
Okay, so if you can make it a little bigger so my older eyes can read it, I'll read it to you. Okay, shall I get closer? You can read them. Go for it.
Awesome. Kahaluu Neighborhood Board, number 29 resolution regarding draft environmental assessment of Waialaha water systems, August 2023. Whereas northern Ko'olapoko from He'ea to Kualoa has a well-documented and vibrant agriculture history, and the Kahaluu Neighborhood Board, number 29, serving the area, has a long-standing position supporting the community desire to protect and preserve agriculture uses. And whereas the communities of Waiahole and Waiakane are a rural family farming community which, when threatened with development in the 1970s, fought to preserve those communities for farming, that resulted in the state purchase of the lands and ensuing stewardship under its housing branch, now HHFDC. And whereas HHFDC, while responsible for providing water to its lessees in Waiahole Agriculture and Residential Lots subdivision through the Waiahole Valley Water System, supports and is designing a system that also serves all other stakeholders in the Waiahole Valley community, including lease lots managed by DHHL, the Waiahole Elementary School, as well as private and Kuleana properties. And whereas in November of 2022, as part of the pre-assessment consultation, the Kahaluu Neighborhood Board, number 29, unanimously passed a motion that stated Kahaluu Neighborhood Board, number 29, strongly requests that HHFDC and Planning Solutions include the pre-assessment consultations for the Waiahole Valley Water System improvements. The Valley's Water Committee proposal for a gravity flow system as an alternative in the draft EA. And whereas the Water Committee proposal also included an interest in consideration of a gravity flow system from Waiahole Ditch Tunnel that could also generate electricity via hydropower as an alternative in the draft EA. And whereas the draft EA and anticipated findings of no significant impact that was issued on July 14th, 2023, narrowly states that a gravity flow system is included as a tunnel alternative, but that the potential to generate hydropower is not a purpose or need of the proposed action, so is not considered in the EA. And whereas including an assessment of hydropower when considering the water system improvements would be strategic in improving community resilience, especially in a time of climate change, and could potentially reduce ongoing operating and maintenance costs. And whereas consideration of alternative options described above would acknowledge and capitalize on the critical link between water and energy, avoiding unsustainable energy-dependent groundwater pumping, while also helping the state to meet its renewable energy portfolio standard, which requires electricity utilities to meet 100% of sales through renewables by 2045. With intermediary targets in earlier years, therefore, be it resolved, the Kahaluu Neighborhood Board number 29 urges the HHFDC to expand the scope of the EA to include an environmental assessment of an alternative that includes generation of hydropower in conjunction with improvements to the Waiahole Valley water system. Mahalo.
Can I move that we accept the resolution?
Second.
Yeah, it's already been. Dan, we'll go with Dan. Yeah. Yes.
I got a question. So this water system, will it tie up on, come down to Kamehameha Highway? We tie it in with the water supply system?
The border water supply alternative would tie into the border water supply pipelines and Kamehameha Highway. Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, there we go.
Okay. Once again, first names only. Ian.
Aye.
John. Clifford.
Aye.
Rick. Rocky. Art. Jarrett. Ken.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Daniel. Milani. Passes unanimously 11-0-0.
So I just want to make sure that your answer, that this system that's being designed will connect to the border water supplies around the island system. That's what you've stated.
The border water system compatible or compliant system alternative, which is the preferred alternative currently, would connect to the border water supply regional system. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for your time. That is time. Okay, the meeting is now adjourned.
Thanks, Jim, for
Our
coming to the meeting.
next regular meeting is Wednesday, September 13th, 2023. See you guys there. Thank you guys for your patience.
Hey, good job.